All right, it's 5 o'clock on Friday night. Time for another episode of Erik Wait Live. Not going to do any intro music, doing something a little bit different tonight. The only video I have set up for doing that sort of intro thing is for my Irish videos, my Irish series. Don't have one for this one, so I'm not going to go without it. But while I am here, give a quick hello. There's already a crowd forming. This is going to be an interesting night. I think I might potentially rustle some feathers, but I want everyone to know. Oh, geez, now technical problems. I can't get the dang thing to scroll. There we go. There we go. All right, Paul M. tuning in early as he did last week. Thank you very much. Big Dog, thanks for tuning in. Farnando, thank you very much. IC86, thanks for tuning in. The Whiskey Friend, Alan, how you doing, sir? Thanks for staying up late. Mike Benton, thank you very much for tuning in. Robert G. And Bill, the Whiskey Dictionary. I'll be talking about you in a little bit, sir. And alrighty. So last week I talked about the OSWA Awards, basically sort of covered all the whiskeys, the various categories, gave sort of my perception of things that I think are pros and cons. And I had someone comment on the video that they seemed to be a little upset that I was willing to give a critique and feedback. And yet that's not Roy's perspective. Roy thanked me for my perspective. I think as Whisky Tubers and as friends, we can disagree over this and that, give feedback, give our 2 cents, and we go, you know what? You got a good idea there. Maybe I'll think, or maybe, nope, I disagree with you. This is the way I'm going to do things. I mean, this is what Roy and Rafi were doing in creating the whole OSWA thing. Is they had this feedback going back and forth of pitching ideas and thoughts back and forth and agreeing and disagreeing, but doing it in a gentleman fashion, never having a harsh word, and come to the conclusion that they did in setting up the OSWA. Now, nothing and nobody is ever perfect. Everybody and everything has pros and cons. So I would imagine over the years, as if this continues, that there will be little tweaks, little adjustments, little changes. There will be things you learn along the way, right? And so that's how it goes. The first time you do anything, the first time you create something, you're not necessarily going to have a 100% perfect, out the door. So you can expect there's going to be improvements. I am an American, and I have a particular perspective on things coming from an American perspective. Roy and Rafi are Scottish. They have a particular Scottish perspective on things. After all, talking about Scotch whiskey. And that's those perspectives of those angles in which are going to be the background as to why you think this should be this or that way. If everybody would agree 100%, everybody give a thumbs up on everything, I would be suspect. The fact that we can have a little bit of disagreement, a little bit of, I think it would be better this way. I think it'd be a little bit better that way. It means we're being truthful, being honest, as long as we do it in a gentlemanly fashion, a friendly fashion. I consider Roy to be a good friend, very dear friend. I've never met Rafi, would like to one of these days, but I've been admiring his for a long time. So I'm going to talk about this week about the fellow contributors to the OSWA Awards. So last week we looked at the various categories and the various brands and bottles that are making the lists. This week, I want to talk about the Whiskey Tubers themselves. I think there's several things that we can learn or benefit from all this. Number one, there might be some whiskeys you've never heard of, some brands you never heard of. There was a couple independent bottlers I had never heard of until this list. So we can benefit from that. Let me get something poured. I'm going to pause right there. Okay, let me pause right there. Get something poured. All right, I'm feeling myself getting a little bit of dry here. So, typical fashion, whenever I do a series, I make a list of all the whiskeys I'm going to cover in a series, whether it's Irish or peated or whatever else. And along the way, that series gets longer and longer because I keep buying more bottles. So, yesterday I bought 4 more Irish whiskeys. So the Irish whiskey series I'm working on, it's going to get longer. This is Roe & Co. Irish whiskey blended from Dublin. I'm picking this up because it is sort of recommended by Jim Ingram at the Whiskey Novice, a fellow OSWA contributor. So he mentioned it when I had him on live. So I saw this. I thought, hey, I got to check that out. So I'm going to have a little bit of that. Just a little bit, just a wee bit. The other ones I have, Jim had mentioned this particular Jameson last time, not last time, but the time before last, because I had him on before. Last time I did an Irish series. This one, the black, what's it called? The black barrel. He had mentioned this before, recommended it. Then two from here from West Cork. This is I believe it's a cask strength from West Cork. And this is a peated cask, kind of like the Madura peated cask from Glenlivet in terms of the concept and way in which they're adding a peated character. So these are opened, but I've not tasted any of these yet. So I will probably be sampling a little bit of these through the night. In the meantime, all right, let me take a quick sip. Interesting. Take a look at it real quick. Blended Irish whiskey, 45% ABV or 90 proof. Product of Ireland, non-chill filtered Irish blended whiskey. I like the ABV, and I like that it's non-chill filtered. We like that. I'll give more background information about that when I do the video. Aqua Vitae is in. How are you doing? I'd love to stay up and catch this, but it is awfully late here in rainy Glasgow. I'm sure you got this covered, but there are loads of other channels beyond the 24 Founders, English and non-English speaking channels that should be part of this. I totally agree. In fact, I'm going to talk about a couple that I think should be on there. So I agree with you 110%, sir. Thank you very much. Anyway, so I think the OSWA thing, in terms of a viewer and enjoyer of whiskey, I think the OSWA does several things. Not just who wins this category, who wins that category, right? But just as I've now been introduced to a couple independent bottlers that I wasn't familiar with, there might be other whiskeys who, even if they're not nominated yet, the fact that someone says, why wasn't this on? Why wasn't this on? For example, Rasse, that brings them onto the radar, makes you go, The fact that people are making such a fuss makes me go, I think I'm going to check that out, right? It's about exposure and just getting awareness of what's out there. So I think the OSWAs are going to bring more awareness to particular brands, whether they win or whether they just get nominated or they just get talked about during this whole discussion. I think it's a good thing. So there are whiskeys that are coming up I have not had that I am putting on my shopping list. Either have been discussed or they've actually been nominated. But I think also this is also an opportunity for fellow whiskey tubers as well. Of the 24 whiskey tubers or contributors, I think there's 2 or 3 that I was not familiar with, or I had heard of them, kind of seen them. Maybe they've been a guest on Roy's channel, but I hadn't really watched them. I hadn't paid attention. So I thought, you know what? I want to learn a little bit more about these other whiskey tubers. So I started watching the videos. I subscribed to the channels, started watching the content, look at it. And so I'm going to share them a little bit if the technology cooperates. But there was also a comment on the Twitter. I think Roy responded. I think I responded, which I think sort of relates to what I want to talk about, because I want to provide not only an exposure to some of these whiskey tubers, but I'm going to give some tips that I think would help these people improve their channels. And there's a lot of things that are very, 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 very common. And the advice I'm going to be giving is not coming from me. The advice I'm giving is going to be coming from professional YouTubers, the people who have 1 million subscribers, the people who get paid a ton of money to help people build their YouTube channels. That's where this advice is coming from. All I'm doing is taking from them and then passing it on to you. And my goal is to help all my fellow whiskey tubers improve their content. I'm going to be critiquing my own channel. There are some things I need to work on. So I'm going to be giving some feedback, and I'm going to try to bring up the channels so you can look at them. You check them out. You see if you like the content, and you decide if you want to subscribe to their channels. Now, the thing is, with the more and more channels you only have so many hours in the day. You only have so much time in the day. You can't watch them all. So you got to pick and select, how much time you got and figure out which ones you want to watch. Let me take another sip real quick. Whoa. I just got a distinctive note of cinnamon. I was not expecting that. Wow. Wow. It just caught me off guard. And you know what's funny? So rather than smelling it, breathe in like this. I can taste the cinnamon. Oh, hey, Roy, thank you very much. 5 pounds. Good night, everyone. I love having all of you involved and all the feedback. Have a great weekend and enjoy hanging out with Erik. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. Or every time a Glencairn rings, an angel gets his wings. Roy, thank you very much. Seems very much bourbon cask influence. Definite maltiness is showing up there. So even though it's a blended whiskey, the malted grain is making its presence known. For a blended whiskey, I don't know what the percentages are, but it seems to have a higher malt content. Seems very, very nice, nicely floral. Seems youthful, and yet it doesn't have those green notes. All right, let's move on. So there was, as I said before, and I'll show you the tweet. Bring it up here. Here we go. So this came up on Twitter. I responded on Twitter, and some others did as well. So Josh Taylor, and I'll show you his channel real quick. He says, Twitter peeps, with a Whisky Tube channel, I find views and subs one of the most challenging aspects of the channel. Wondering what else I can do besides hashtags promoting on Twitter and IG manually. Anyone out there who could provide guidance? My response was, forget about little gimmicks and tricks and trying to promote your channel. Focus on making good quality content. Forget the algorithm, focus on the audience. And then learn the basics, thumbnails, good titles, and making good quality content. And the rest will follow. And don't give up, keep working really, really hard. So I'm actually going to bring his channel up. He's not a contributor to the OSWA, but I want to bring this up as an example. And then we're going to see some similarities between his channel and other channels. And there are some of my fellow Whisky Tubers or contributors who I pass them up. I mean, they've been doing this longer or as long as I have, and I pass them up in subscriptions. And so I want to give them some positive, I think, critique of the channels, I think, to help them do a better job of their channel. Now, of course, some of this is my personal opinion, but it also comes from watching professional Whisky Tubers. And who are these, professional Whisky Tubers? Not YouTubers, not Whisky Tubers, YouTubers. Let me show you who I'm referring to. There are more than this, but Nick Nimmin, and he also has a brother named, I just forgot his brother's name. I feel really, really, really bad. Nick Nimmin, and anyway, his brother, who looks a lot like him, his older brother, focuses on doing videos with smartphones. Daniel Battelle, and this is Brian G. Johnson. So Nick Nimmin goes live at 6 a.m. on Saturdays. That's 6 a.m. my time. He's an American, but he's actually in Thailand. This is the guy to watch. This is the number one guy to watch. He's a great communicator, talks super, super fast, but I've been following him for several years. This is the guy you want to learn in terms of how to best learn how to use the platform of YouTube. Daniel Battelle, you're going to learn, I think, a lot more about editing and particular applications for creating video, especially, I would say, like Filmora. The third guy, Brian G. Johnson, he's a little zany. He's a former chef, but he is sort of obviously the biggest guru, and these other guys are sort of learning from him. All right, so if you want to learn how to best use the platform and becoming a Whisky Tuber, these are the guys you want to watch. I should have put links down below, but I didn't. So just look them up. Nick Nimmin, start with Nick Nimmin. If you just start with Nimmin, he's going to show up. So in being a Whisky Tuber, there's obviously the whiskey, learn about whiskey, how to present yourself, how to talk, how to communicate, keeping eye contact, avoid using the those fillers, freaking annoying, really, really, really annoying. You got to learn how to communicate. You got to learn how to keep good eye contact, good body language. There's all these communication skills, whether you're doing whiskey videos or you're doing something else, have good communication skills. You need to develop these. I had to learn how to drop the ums and the uhs and the I was in a meeting this past week, and there was a person who was a presenter, and she kept saying actually, blah, 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 actually, blah, 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 actually, blah, 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 actually. I was like, could you stop using, I'm thinking to myself, could you stop using the word freaking actually? It's a filler because you're not comfortable speaking. You're not used to, rather than leaving a second of silence, you feel like you have to fill it in. So you keep saying, actually, actually, actually. It's like, geez. Or, okay. So you got to learn how to be a good communicator, right? People will tune out like that, right? Then there's using the platform itself, how to navigate the YouTube platform, which is constantly changing. They're constantly moving things around. So you got to keep up to speed on how to do it. Nick Nimmin, the rest of these guys I just showed you are the guys you're going to want to watch. Then there's video editing and video filming and sound and lighting. There's all that. There's a lot more to this than just the whiskey. Now, if you can say, hey, I'm old school, man. I don't need to do that. I'm just going to sit in front of the camera and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, fine. Do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. I'm trying to provide advice on how to present really, really well. And we're going to see some channels that are part of the contributors who are doing a spectacular job. Just in advance, Jason C, Mash and Drum, he used to have less channels than I do, and he passed me up like I was standing still. He's doing an absolute fantastic job, but I'll talk about more him later, as well as some other Whisky Tubers. If you are the only channel doing whatever it is you do, then there are no alternatives. They can't go anywhere else. But you're the only guy. When Rafi started, he was the only guy. And YouTube was new. It would take him hours, 12 hours to upload a video, a real low resolution, these flip cameras. Okay, that's when he started. And he didn't do any editing. He was behind the camera. He would come around in front of the camera and then finally get in front of it and start doing his thing. If you think in 2020 and 2021, you can start off like that and do as well as he did, forget about it. Because as more within that niche come on to YouTube, the competition gets stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. You got to continually up your game and be a better presenter. Probably one of the largest niches is gamers. There are probably thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of gamers. Anybody who wants to be a gamer on YouTube, and it's the most popular niche, probably, as far as I know, it's the most popular niche, but it's also the most crowded niche. So while it may be popular and there's a lot of people watching it, you also have more competition in terms of getting eyes. Whisky Tubers is a growing niche. We're still very, very, very small. The largest channel in the Whisky Tube is micro in comparison to PewDiePie and whatever, Casey Neistat or whatever, right? But it is a growing niche, and there's more and more of us, and there are some new Whisky Tubers who are bringing their game, and they are going to pass me up like I'm standing still. They're really, really doing a good job. First Phil, if you guys haven't checked out First Phil, definitely, he posted a video within the last day on the history of Scotch whiskey, a superb video. I don't think he's passed me up yet, but he will probably within a month. He will pass me up. My recommendation to Phil would be, don't think you have to be like all the other whiskey reviewers, become just another whiskey reviewer like all the others. You have a particular gift, you have a particular skill, you're bringing something unique to the community. Boom, lay in on that. Focus on quality over quantity. And he's going to do really, really well. Absolutely fantastic video. Mark says, are you going to be reviewing West Cork offerings soon? Yeah, I got them right here. They got a lot of different options at pretty affordable prices, but limited info out there. So yeah, I've got a couple of them right here. And so before the end of the series, within a month, I'll be reviewing these. So his background is in photography and video. So he already had this skill set and bringing it to it. And now he's just applying it to whiskey. I think he's actually bigger on probably on Instagram than he is on YouTube. But he's filling a space in the Whisky Tuber community that nobody else is doing it, and at a very high level. So he could get away with putting out just 1 or 2 videos a month and just explode. You don't have to put out stuff every week. You can put out less quantity of higher quality. There's this one YouTube channel. He does some sort of spider thing, and he puts out a video and like once a month or something, and gets 1 million views like this, right? So we're going to get more and more into this. So I'm going to bring up real quick, and then we'll get into my fellow whiskey tubers. If I hurt your feelings in what I have to say here, sorry. We review whiskeys. Shouldn't be afraid to have your channel reviewed, and I'm going to review my own. So let me show you real quick. Where is? Oh, I know. This has become a little challenging. So I'm working off of a laptop. This would be better live if I had multiple screens and I could work that way. But currently I'm working off a laptop and off a small table, not in an office. So I'm going to bring a channel up. Come on. There we go. Okay. It's going to take a second to make it visible. Give me a second. I'm glad I got my mouse fully charged this week. All right. So I brought it up. Now I'm going to try to share my screen. Share screen. All right. So hopefully you are seeing what I'm seeing. Okay. So here is this person on Twitter asking for tips, wanting some help. So if he wasn't asking for it, I wouldn't give it. First of all, look at his banner, right? He has this, I think it's a Game of Thrones thing. I watched like the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones. He says, I drink and I know things. Then he has this thing, whatever that is, written in orange is completely cut off. This tells me Jack Diddley about the channel. Take all that crap, take all this Game of Thrones stuff off your channel. Remove all that. If you want to use I Drink and Know Things as the name of your group, get rid of all this other stuff. Take it off. Unless you're a Game of Thrones channel, get rid of all that stuff. Put the logo that you're using smack dab in the middle of the banner. Look at your channel on a smartphone. Does this stuff show up on a most people are watching videos from their smartphone rather than from a computer. You want to look at your banner, you look at your channel art, and see how well it shows up on that. I'm going to show you some other fellow whiskey tubers that are in this sort of same boat. On the lower right hand corner, you have links to a podcast and to some other social networking channels. Take all that off. What you're telling people is, welcome to my YouTube channel. Now go somewhere else. Okay, that pisses off YouTube. They will not promote your channel if your channel's constantly taking people off platform. YouTube wants people to stay on platform, right? So get rid of the Twitter and all the other crap off to the lower right-hand side. Change your podcast thing. Unless you want to, your primary focus is on your podcast, change it to a subscribe button. Give people another opportunity to subscribe to your channel. Your thumbnails are all over the place. So take some time, watch Nick Nimmin, Google, and learn how to do thumbnails. Thumbnails to a channel, to a video, are like labels on a whiskey bottle. It's the first thing people see, and if you're looking for a different bottle of whiskey, and they don't know what to buy, and they're going based on the label, and they've got 5 options, and someone's got a better thumbnail, they're going to click on someone else's rather than yours. You need to improve your thumbnails. You also put all these other social media outlet things on your thumbnails. Get rid of them. Most of these thumbnails, I could barely tell what the hell it is you're talking about. So you need to work on your thumbnails. Playlists are Tennessee. Tennessee what? Tastings. Tastings what? Special guests. Special guests of what? Okay. With Japanese what? Japanese flowers, Japanese music, Japanese food, Japanese what? Okay. You have to think in terms of the viewer and be viewer centric. Think of your audience and think of how I'm going to first get their attention, how I'm going to keep their attention, and all the way through the video. That's what you need to be thinking about. All right. So the same way, and the way in which we approach and think about a whiskey is the same way you ought to think and approach presenting your channel. All right. So there's a few tips to this one particular person. They have probably less than, I don't know, like 103 subscribers or something like that. Those are just a few tips. Now, those are common mistakes that are done in a lot of different whiskey channels. And it's a reason why they're not growing. Or I would say it's a contributing factor. It's a contributing factor as to why they're not growing. One of the most challenging things is maintaining people's attention when you're talking. Particularly if you're talking for a half an hour to an hour, there is a concept, something I call infotainment, information and entertainment. If you're 100% information, all right, educational, and you don't have an entertaining portion to it, people get bored, they tune out. If you're 100% entertainment and you don't have some substance to it, then it's just fluff. It's just fluff, right? So the odds are most viewers, the largest channels, are going to be those who are heavier on the entertainment side. But I think the best channels, in my opinion, have a really good balance between information and entertainment. One of those, Mash and Drum. I would say he has enough meat there to inform his viewers, right? The people want to go back to demonstrate himself as an expert in the field, but he's also entertaining. He's got good visual content. It's visually pleasing to the eye, right? We think, okay, the most important thing about a dish, when I go to a restaurant, is that it tastes good. And that is true. But the first thing we eat with is our eyes. We like the plate to look good. Presentation is important. And that's true about the whiskey bottle. We might say, hey, the most important thing is what's in the bottle, not what's on the bottle. Absolutely true. However, if someone doesn't know what's inside the bottle and they can't tell what's inside the bottle, that first impression they're going to have is going to be from the label, as it is going to be from your thumbnail. That's what's going to get you to click. That's what's going to get a watch. Then you have to maintain the watch that they don't immediately tune out. And there's some things that some people do that cause them to tune out. And we're going to get into that as we get into looking at more of my fellow whiskey tubers. Now, there's someone, and I'll mention this more later, someone who got this right away. One of the larger channels, Bill the Whiskey Dick, if you're still watching, he got this. I wish I had got this and understood this earlier. A lot of my old videos I deleted. I deleted because if someone tuned into one of those old videos, they would go, oh, this Erik Wait, he's horrible. His videos are bad, blah, 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 blah. And they would not watch. So rather than keep older content on there that is of lower quality, I just deleted them. And some of them I redid. So the Ardbeg 10 video I redid that video because my original video sucked. All right. Everybody has this learning curve. Everybody's learning. Everybody's on a journey to learn about whiskey, to enjoy whiskey, but also to learn how to become a better presenter of whiskey if you're a whiskey tuber. So my early videos sucked, and so I deleted them. A lot of them I redid. All right. So if you have old videos in which the sound is horrible, the visual is horrible, you have a lot of fillers, and nobody's continuing to watch them, they're not growing, they're not contributing to the channel, delete the video. Let's say it's a review of a particular whiskey, delete the video. There are some channels, I'll go and watch one of the videos, and in the background it's, they have this hissing noise. The lighting is bad. Everything's really, really, really bad. I'm like, wow, this channel really sucks. And then I go watch one of their more recent videos. I'm like, oh, well, the dude got his shit together. Now he has a halfway decent video. And so I'll send him a message. Hey, delete your old videos because that's making a really bad first impression. When you're interviewing for a job, right? First impressions are extremely important. When you're presenting a whiskey, if you're in sales, first impressions are extremely important. If you're dating somebody, right, you want to ask someone out for a date, first impressions are very important. It's the same principle, right? So whether you're interviewing for a job, presenting a whiskey, or creating a video, it's your first impressions that are going to be extremely important. So get rid of those old videos. Learn how to interview well for a job, learn how to present whiskey well, how to communicate well, how to do the visual well, how to do the audio, the lighting. I need to work on my lighting. There are things that I need to work on. And you never arrive at perfection. It's always a process. When you find someone who does a really, really, really good job, don't imitate them, but be inspired by them and go, oh, they do this, they do that, they do this. Don't imitate them so that you're just doing what they do, but learn, oh, this is better way to do that. This is a better way to do that. So I'm going to learn from them and adapt for my channel and the way I do things with my own style, those same principles. It's about learning the principles, not copycatting, learning the underlying principles and then applying those principles to your particular style, your particular audience, and how you want to do things. All righty. Been a lot of talking. Take another sip. I'm going to pour myself another dram. Hey, Whiskey Crusader Will, how you doing, man? So I've only done the level 1 at the whiskey marketing class, but these sort of things, it is what, I don't know what they're teaching at the upper levels, should be taught in being a whiskey somm. Because presenting the wine at a table, you're at a restaurant and you're presenting a wine, right? The professionalism, the way you carry yourself, the way you communicate to the guests in a restaurant is important. Taking those same principles and applying it to whiskey and being a whiskey tuber, or being maybe you're not a whiskey tuber, maybe you're working behind a counter at a retail store, maybe you're working at a distillery, whatever, and be able to present well, professional, and is going to communicate well and make a good impression on your guests. Or maybe you're doing live events, having people over, and just the ability to communicate well about the whiskey. All right. Whiskey Crusader Will says level 2 leans heavily into marketing. All right, so let's get going. Continue to move on. All right, so I'm going to show you the first 8 whiskey tubers, and then I'm going to bring up their channels one by one and give you my 2 cents on them. If you are not familiar with these whiskey tubers, I want to highly recommend that you check these out. Perhaps along the way, hit the subscribe button. Fernando says, welcome to Erik Wait Whiskey Tube Social Media Studies. Exactly. So now let me tell you something. If I was selfish, I would not say any of this stuff. Why do I want to help out my competition? Why would I want to help out channels which might turn around and be better channels and then pass me up? Because people only have so much time that they have to spend. Why would I want them to encourage them to watch some other whiskey tuber channel who is going to improve and pass me up? Think about it. So I'm in my critique of this, I'm not being a dick. I'm actually trying to help them out. And if they improve, if they put in the work and improve their channels and pass me up, then I will be motivated to step up my game. When I see whiskey tubers pass me up, when I see them do a really good job, I don't go, I've been doing this longer than they have. Man, this isn't fair. Bullshit. I believe in meritocracy. I know a lot of these channels pass me up and do it because they're doing a better job. They're working harder. They're putting out better quality content, or they're meeting a different audience, or they're trying to do something different than I'm doing, and they're finding their audience and they're doing really, really well on it. It doesn't hurt my feelings. It does, however, motivate me to want to do a better job, So let's go on. All right. So the first 8. All right. So the first 8 we have Ralphie, obviously, Aquavite. These are the founders. I'm surprised my name is on there first after them. I don't know if it's because alphabetically came up first, but I thought it was funny. So this whole thing was planned while I was planning on moving, and I shaved my beard off and redid my logo. So finally, when this got launched, all of a sudden my logo's changed, but that's fine. Whatever. So I was very, very honored to be asked to do this. Okay, Malt Reviews, no nonsense whiskey, Scotch for Dummies, and Sippers Social Club. So all of these channels I was familiar with the exception of Malt Box and Malt Reviews. I had seen Malt Reviews around, but I hadn't watched any of the content, and I was totally unfamiliar with Malt Box whiskey. So I'm going to go through these one by one, and I'll bring up their channels, and we'll take a look at them. Believe it or not, I have some advice for Ralphie. For Ralphie. Now, I'll just let you know something about myself. I am an analyst. It's what I do. In my background, in my theological education, is analyzing text and language, grammar, syntax, cultural context, and all that. I'm an analyst. In law enforcement, I worked in intelligence, in analyzing data for figuring out where certain criminal activities taking place, where the rivers of flow of traffic were coming from, analyzing the data to how to defeat the adversary. When it comes to wine, as a sommelier, it's about analyzing wine and its characteristics and understanding its context, and analyzing whiskey. I'm just a very analytical person. That is what I am by nature, and it's what I do for a living. So when I watch movies, television, or go to restaurants, I'm analyzing them and making qualitative judgments. It's just the way it is. All right. And we're all on a road to improvement. So let me bring Ralphie up real quick. I probably don't need to do this because everybody knows who Ralphie is. Now, it's going to be a little bit challenging. Again, sorry for the slight delays in doing this because I have the... All right, now I have to pause the audio on some of these. I don't have the rights to be playing their videos, and if they have music in the background, I can't be... I could get a hit if they're playing music that I don't have a license for. All right. All right, so here's Ralphie's channel. I'm sure most of us are all subscribers, and just give a little bit of feedback. So this is, he's the OG. He's the original. What can you say about Ralphie? All right. So 162,000 subscribers. His name is Ralph Mitchell. He is the OG, posting whiskey videos for 12 years. Of course, his history and experience in tasting whiskeys goes in before that. I would say Ralphie is to Scotch whiskey what I am to wine. Scotland is his backyard. Whiskey he's surrounded by, he's in a whiskey country, right? So if I was doing California wine reviews or wine videos, it would be parallel to what Ralphie is doing for Scotch whiskey. Now, just to let you know, in case you don't, Ralphie broke the world land speed record on the Bonneville, USA, from reaching 74.7 miles per hour on a hand-built 250cc pushrod turbo motorcycle. So this, I believe, was in 2017. So for the particular classification of his motorcycle, he owns a land speed record. So what is my advice that I could Erik Wait, a nobody, in terms of the whiskey world, what could I possibly say to share with Ralphie? Recently, Ralphie, I'm watching this recently. I know you've been experimenting with thumbnails, and Roy mentioned this when he came on about an hour into my live stream last week. He mentioned that you had said to him or asked for advice about doing thumbnails. As I said before, thumbnails for a YouTube video are similar to the label on a bottle, except for your thumbnails don't have to look the same bottle, video after video after video. You can develop a particular style, and people will recognize your videos by that particular style. However, there are some brands of wine. There's one called Gaia, Gaya. It's just black lettering on white paper. It's absolutely phenomenal wines. It's Italian wines. They need no advertising. They need no marketing. Everybody knows the quality. They don't need anything fancy-smancy on the label. People already know what it is, right? They don't have to do anything. They don't need to change anything. Their name alone sells the wine. They're just high-quality wines. Ralphie, you've been doing this for a long period of time. You don't need to do anything with your thumbnails. Super large channels, think like PewDiePie and those guys, they don't pay attention to all. These are what's called best practices. They don't pay attention to this. They don't have to. Those PewDiePie could pinch a loaf in a video and put nothing for a thumbnail, and he would get 1 million views. He's gotten to that point, right? Same thing with you, sir. People will get to know you. You should be forefront on your thumbnail. my recommendation is just have the camera going, have the video, maybe do something like this, just hold the bottle up, or like this, right? Or just like this, or just have a picture of you with you got that barrel there. And then you could add in a photo of whatever whiskey you were doing. And that's it. Nothing fancy, nothing schmancy. You are the brand. You should be prominent on the thumbnail. Definitely don't cover yourself up. Don't fade it. I know you're putting faded, and then you put the big ass words on the thumbnail. Stop it. Okay. You and others have critiqued whiskey brands for changing their labels and rebranding. And the price, and then of course the prices go up. So maybe the critique a little more of that. You don't need to change. Your thumbnails are fine. Generally are fine. You're what sells. People know you, right? And that's all I got to say about it. You don't have to change anything else. You be you. You be you, and that's all I got to say about that. Fernando, thank you very much for the super chat. Time to pour another dram. All right, so this is the Jameson Black Barrel Triple Distilled, bottled at 40%, so it's not a real high ABV. But I've heard good things about this whiskey, so we're going to see. I'm not going to give a total review of it, but we'll pour a little bit tonight and see how it goes. Widely available. You can probably get it in your local grocery store. Interesting. It has like a root beer character to it. Root beer, sarsaparilla, sort of a chocolatey character to it, coffee character to it, but something else going on there. Wow. Nice evolution, actually. Interesting flavors. First impression, I like it. I'll have to spend some more time with it. All right, let's get on to this one. Next one. Aquavite. All right, I'm not going to pull this channel up. Everybody knows what Aquavite is. I got nothing but positive things to say about Aquavite. I think he apologizes too much because he's such a gentleman. Aquavite. I know, I can't think of anything. However, I would say this, Roy, if this whiskey tuber thing doesn't work out, my recommendation is open up Aquavite's School of Driving for American tourists, right? My first trip to Scotland, had to drive on the other side of the road, on the other side of the car. I was nervous. And so Roy rode along with me. We got my rental car. He met me at the airport. We got my rental car. And I would say he made me very comfortable to drive. And he wasn't like a backseat driver, but he helped me learn some basics and gave me some tips on driving in Scotland. And it made me feel comfortable. When I first get there, I'm still a little bit nervous, but I quickly adapt on my second trip. And once you get out of the cities of, say, Glasgow, Edinburgh, you get onto the countryside, then I'm much more comfortable. But so that's my one tip, Roy. If the whiskey tuber thing doesn't work out, start a driving school for Americans coming to visit Scotland. All right. I think he's got the full package. I think he's a hard worker. He's an artist. He communicates well. There's something about it. I know I'm putting a lot of butter on his bread. He has a very, very nice, very kind wife, really nice kids. I guess my only concern would be always be mindful of maintaining a balance of work, family, and all the rest of it. And that's true for all of us. It's very easy for doing this because we enjoy it so much to lose track of our responsibilities and duties and other things we got to get done. And that's why we put on weight. At least some of us do. All righty. Next one. Let's pull up the next one. Malt box. Okay, so this is one I was not familiar with. I had never seen before, so I'm new to this channel. I've watched a number of different videos. I subscribed But let me bring up the channel. Da-da-da. Give me a second here. Thus far, the technology seems to be cooperating, but I probably just doomed myself. Oh, I got to talk about my own channel. Okay, so the third, it seems silly I'm bringing this up. All right, so the third guy on there, Erik Wait Whiskey Studies. My channel and my understanding of working the platform, my understanding my communication skills, everything else, I have improved a lot, but I still got a long ways to go. One of the biggest challenges I have is lighting. At the last place I lived, it had built-in overhead lighting that worked really, really, really well. This place doesn't have overhead lighting. So I have a big ass, it's a professional light over here. I have a one over there. I recorded about 10 different videos, practicing with the lighting, tweak. I still don't like it. In my videos, you can see a reflection of these lights in my eyes. So I still don't like it. What I want to do is get rid of these and put a light over my head and improve it. Hold on one sec. I'm going to go turn on the AC. I'm getting a little warm. Give me just a sec. I'm going to turn on the AC. All right. The other weird thing about this house, the last place I was at, I was working on wood floors. In fact, the place before that, wood floors or simulated wood floors. This has carpeting, and then there's all this. It kind of deafens the sound. So it lacks a certain roundness to the audio quality to it. Not much I can do about that, and that's a minor thing I'm not really worried about. The biggest thing I want to change is the lighting quality. That's all. To me, it's always been the biggest challenge is lighting. So eventually I'll get to it. My 10-minute videos, I spend 3 to 4 hours on them because you always tend to be your own worst critic. There's still a lot of things I wish could be better. I could lose 40 pounds. That would probably help. And then maybe get, I don't know, get LASIK and get rid of these stupid glasses. All right, next one. Let me bring up the malt whiskey box. This is going to be a long night bringing these all up. Share. If you're just now starting out being a whiskey tuber, you have it easier now. The technology has advanced. You can learn from those who came before you. So I think his name is Andy. So there's a number of different Andy. If you happen to be watching this, here are my recommendations. Number one, all you've got for a banner is a blank piece of wood. Take your logo and put it smack dab in the middle. All right. Check and make sure it shows up well on an iPhone, on a smartphone. You have no playlists. You should create playlists for every type of whiskey you do. You're doing Irish, you're doing Scotch, you're doing bourbons, whatever you do. If you only do Scotch, then you could create playlists by brands, whatever. You have no playlist. The bottom of your channel here, all underneath there, that's all valuable real estate. There are a number of different channels that are doing the exact same thing. So if you're a whiskey tuber watching this, maybe you're not one of the contributors, but you find yourself doing this, use the real estate underneath there. Fill that up with videos. Use playlists to put that under there. Hey, what does this particular channel, what does he think about this Irish whiskey or that Irish whiskey? Be able to find the playlist. Okay, here's all those Irish whiskeys, all this Scotch, or all this peated, whatever the category is. Now I can go through his list of his videos and watch the particular ones that I want to watch. What the heck is your name? If you look at the About section here, it says your name's not on there. You should be branding you. The reason why I have Erik Wait Whiskey Studies and not whiskey whatever, whiskey this or whiskey that, is because I branded my name so that I can stand out from the crowd of the growing number of whiskey tubers. If my name was John Smith, I would not use John Smith. Nothing against anybody named John Smith, but it would not stand out. It's too common of a name. I almost said normal. Erik, spelled with a K, is unusual. Wait is a rare name, also particularly without the E on the end, so it stands out. So Andy, you need to put your name on there. Your thumbnails blow, totally blow. Learn how to do thumbnails. Just search on YouTube how to make good thumbnails. As I said before, thumbnails are the window to your channel. So you have 2.01 subscribers. You want to improve your channel. You want to grow your channel. Do those things in mind. Over in the right-hand corner, you have your website. that's fine. All right, so that's basic improvements on how to improve your channel. At the beginning of your video, when you come on, you should have some sort of introduction as to saying who you are. All right, take that off. By the way, if anybody disagrees with me, feel free to say so. You should have some sort of introduction as to saying who you are. Whoop, sorry. My little oops. This is when I start having technical problems. Give me a second here. All right. Bill, the whiskey. I do like seeing so many Irish whiskeys on that table. Well, thank you very much. Bill has done a lot of. He tends to do his more in March during, building up to St. Patrick's Day. But Bill has done a lot of Irish whiskeys as well. All right. Next. Malt Reviews. This is a channel. I think I'd seen the name here and there, perhaps in a chat, but I wasn't familiar with the actual channel. Let me bring them up real quick. Malt Reviews. I mean, just the fact that StreamYard now exists, right? Better than that other stuff we used to use in the early days that required a lot of technical ability. What a huge improvement. All right, there we go. Malt Reviews. So now, once you call your channel Malt Reviews or Whiskey This or Whiskey That, and you're already going, to change your name and rebrand, you have to make a judgment call on that. But if you're thinking about starting a channel, I highly, highly, highly recommend, particularly if your name is different. Say Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? When Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he was very young, decided he was going to be the #1 bodybuilder, then go to America, go to the United States, become the #1, become a big movie star, and then go into politics. As a youth, when he was like a teenager, he decided to do all this. Now he couldn't become president because he's not born in the United States, but he accomplished all this. When he got started in the movie industry, they told him, "You talk funny. No one can understand what you're saying. Schwarzenegger, you need to change your name. People can't pronounce Schwarzenegger." So he took classes on how to speak and how to be understand. So he wasn't just, get to the job, right? He had to learn how to speak. So just as Arnold Schwarzenegger had to learn to communicate well and act in front of a camera, so we have to learn how to communicate well in front of a camera as well. Just as he had to. But rather than changing his name, as he was advised, he branded his name and made it known. So he went, in fact, you just say Arnold, and most time people are going to immediately think Schwarzenegger. But instead, he took something which was perceived as a negative, turned it into a positive, and branded the name Schwarzenegger. And if he hadn't boinked that, I don't know, I think she was a nanny or whatever, he'd still be married to a very hot woman. All right, but that's a whole nother story. All right, Malt Reviews. So your banner, it doesn't say anything about you need to put a logo in the middle. I'm not going to keep repeating this over and over. This is very, very common. You need to put your logo in the middle and make sure it shows up on a small phone. You should put in the lower right-hand corner of your channel banner a possibility to subscribe. Or if you want to sell merch, you can put a link there to a website. Don't put other social networking channels. Like the previous channel, put playlists. You don't have playlists. Improve your thumbnails. Who are these guys? What is their name? Watch their videos. They don't even say what their names are. Look at the about section. I have the foggiest idea what their names are. I watch their videos. I don't know what their names are. I think some of the comments, people might mention their names. Guys, you need to. Welcome to another episode of Malt Reviews. I am so-and-so. I am so-and-so. Let's say, my name is Hans and my name is Franz, and we're going to talk about this whiskey. Some sort of introduction in which you introduce yourselves, because I have the foggiest idea who you are. What is the mission? What's the whole purpose of this channel? I don't know. Put a mission statement on the channel banner, just as a whiskey label puts content other than, are these guys just about Glengarry, Bowmore, Kalila, and Springbank? Or they do more than these. I don't know. You got to put something on there that tells some people something about your channel. They have 2.67 thousand subscribers. Now, I'm sure these guys are great guys and they have a jolly good time, but I highly recommend put a little bit of work into it. All right. Learn to be a better communicator. Now, if you don't care about all this, you don't care about growing, you don't care about expanding your channel, you don't care about improving things, and you just want to flick the on switch, the record button, and record videos, that's perfectly fine. There's no moral imperative. There's no requirement to do anything that I'm suggesting here, right? This is just if you want to improve your channel and grow your channel. That's it. If you have no interest in doing any of that, and you don't care if your channel grows, then don't worry about it. But if you're getting passed up by other channels and wondering why you're not growing, these are the reasons why. These are the reasons why. All right. I don't want to ignore the viewers. Go Red Sox. Bill, don't talk about sports here. We don't talk about sports here. All right, next. Vin, No Nonsense Whiskey Channel. Let me bring his up. Vin's a great guy. Met him at the Bastards Ball a couple years ago. I've had him on my channel. I don't know if I've been on his channel. I don't think I have. Let me share the screen real quick. Bring this up. I like his accent. He's got a good English accent. New reviews every week. That doesn't tell anything about your channel, Vin. Vin, put something in there. Okay, the theme of your we talked about this before, is no nonsense whiskey. It means no fluff, no guff. Get to the point. We're talking about the whiskey, no bullshit, right? Put that in, rather than new reviews every week. It does not matter. Take that out. Tell me in your banner what your channel is about. No nonsense whiskey, and center the knowns, unless it's showing up just fine on a smartphone. I don't think I checked some of these other ones out. I haven't checked yours out. Your links to all your other social media. When you put links to other social media, you're telling people, welcome to my channel, now go away. And you're telling YouTube the same thing. It doesn't go well for YouTube. All right. So now this isn't just a banal, just the front page. But the front page of your channel is sort of like the entrance into a restaurant. Now, he has playlists, which are done well. With the various categories. I think his thumbnail, he hasn't spent a whole lot of time working on his thumbnails. So you could use, Vin, I passed you up. You were way ahead of me, and I passed you up in terms of subscribers. There's all these little, changing one little thing isn't going to make a huge difference to your channel, but it'll make a small difference. And it's the accumulation of these small changes that improves the viewership of your channel. So, work on your set. I know you have all that, or at least you used to have all that Star Wars stuff in the background. Get rid of that. Have it 100%. Unless you can do a Star Wars channel, just have your whiskey stuff in the background. I think he has been working on it. So put a mission stand on your banner and put your name. Oh, in the about section. Very, very, very common. If I'm new, who is this guy? It's not, your name isn't on the banner. It isn't in the video titles, and I wouldn't put your name on the video titles. Put it in the about section. Now, when you start off your videos, you do it well, say, welcome to No Nonsense Whiskey. I'm Vin PF. You wouldn't believe how many channels don't do that simple thing. And if you don't, I can't remember if you do. And you put something shows up at the bottom of the screen that says what your name is. You wouldn't believe how many channels don't do that simple thing. So I like Vin. Check out his channel. Really, really a good guy. He's been doing, I would say, if you want to check out videos, particularly, or learn a little bit more about Cotswold, check his channel. I haven't had Cotswold, but I've watched his videos on that. I definitely check this out. And I need another sip because I'm getting a little bit dry. That is really interesting. I'm sipping on this. That's like a root beer character. There's a chocolate character there. A little bit of a maltiness on the back end. There's a little bit of apple. Definitely that green apple, that sort of classic Jameson green apple character in there. So it's almost like a carameled apple. Definite cinnamon notes in that. You know what? I think I paid $30 for it. That's a tasty whiskey. It's not overly complex. It's got a spicy finish. If I was doing this blind, I might think there was rye in it. There could be. I don't know. I have to look it up. So I'm getting that root beer character and that herbal character and that spice remind me of rye. I'm kind of curious. I'll look this up later. It makes me think there's a little bit of rye in there, but I could be wrong. All right. Next whiskey tuber. Scotch for Dummies. The Scotch for Dummies. If you want to learn something about being a good whiskey tuber, check out the Scotch for Dummies. I'm a big fan of the Scotch for Dummies. I try to watch them every week. They go live on Thursdays. I almost did something stupid. Hold on. Let me bring them up real quick. Scotch for Dummies. There we go. Let me share their channel real quick. Da-da-da-da. Give me a second here. It takes a second for me to bring someone up. Scotch for Dummies. The Scotch for Dummies are one of the fastest growing whiskey tuber channels. They probably grow, and I've been keeping track, as much as 400 subscribers a week. A week. They gain in a week what I do in a month. Look at the banner. Look at the banner. There's pictures of all 4 of them on there. Okay, so you're getting to know who they are. It's centered. The theme is there. 4 guys exploring the world of a Scotch whiskey. It tells me what it's about. That's what you want to have. Now, they have links to their other social media there. I would recommend remove those. Keep the website there. If you can, there's another social media where people get together a group. I can't remember what it's called. Might put a link to that. The thumbnails are good. Check out the thumbnails. If you want, don't imitate them, but look at the clarity of the bottles. You see the bottles, nice, big, bold, all uppercase lettering on the thumbnails, right? Clear, easy to read, whether you're looking at it on a computer or you're looking at it on your smartphone. Really, really, really clear. They just do a really great job, but here is where they're really killing it. They're really killing it. Community. This is, and this is said before, it's almost become cliche. It's as much about the people as it about the whiskey. I think because there's 4 of them, they have this advantage. Channels that have 2 people or more, I think it's actually challenging to do with 4 people, right? Because the dynamics and who's talking, but they've done a really, really good job. By the way, these guys are all neighbors. They all live like on the same street. I've been to Sean's house. So they were hanging out talking about whiskey before they ever started doing a YouTube channel. So their social dynamics was well worked out, and how they interact with each other was worked out long before they started doing a YouTube channel. But they have really done a great job at building community that, hey, it's Thursday night. I'm going to go hang out with the Scotch for Dummies and everybody in the chat, and we're going to have a jolly good time talking about whiskey, drinking whiskey, learning a little bit, something else that's freaking genius. So, a little spoiler here. I always forget. So it's Mark, Sean, Drew, and Andrew. I forget which one's Drew and which one's Andrew. I screwed that up. So if I screwed up, sorry. Andrew. Andrew has another character called Dr. Scotch. I know it's a spoiler. Maybe you're surprised, but Dr. Scotch is actually Andrew. So they have these little segments in which they bring on Dr. Scotch, and they got the intro to it, and that's when they drop knowledge. That's when they shift from entertainment and social into education, and they do a fantastic job. Fantastic job. I've even found myself at times taking notes or rewatching the live stream. They do an absolutely superb job, and this is why they are kicking ass. They're kicking ass. I'm a little jealous, to be honest with you. I wish I had people living in my neighborhood who are into whiskeys and want to do a whiskey tube, and we could hang out. They're the other way, like Scott and Bart, Daniel and Rex, obviously, and others, to have that sort of camaraderie and interaction. I don't have that available. I wish I did, but I don't. But hey, you do the best with what you've got. But that is why they're doing really, really well. So, fellow whiskey tubers, there's a lot you could learn from them in terms of not in an imitative fashion, but learn how to form a community, how to do thumbnails. don't imitate them. You don't want to do a cut and paste imitation of how they do things. How to interact and just have a really good time while learning about whiskey and passing on. And they get some really good, great guests on there well. So that's it about Scotch for Dummies. I've put enough butter on their bread. By the way, they have a big event coming up in November. I think they're selling tickets. I would like to be there, but I'm working. Today's my first day off I've had in a few weeks. I'm probably going to be working 6-7 days a week up until November. And I'm getting a little tired, but you do what you got to do. New job, a lot of work. All right. The next one is going to be, all right, let me bring this up again. Sipper Social Club. Sipper Social Club. You have to say that Sipper Social Club. So not Stripper Social Club or Social Sipper Club. I guess the Sipper Social Club is something Jeremy had going before he started this, and then it sort of bled over onto YouTube. So Jeremy is doing an absolutely fantastic job. Let me bring his channel up real quick. I've been a guest on his. I've had him on my channel. I've not been on his channel, and it doesn't hurt my feelings. One of these days, I want to get up to Canada and hang out. Share screen. There's all these little buttons I got to push in order to bring them up. So, I think, so just from a banner perspective, I'm curious as to, I'm going to check it out real quick. I'm going to look at my smartphone. How does that show up on my YouTube channel? On my smartphone. I'm just going to check real quick. This is one of the biggest challenges. You might think only in terms of computers. Yeah, so if you look on your smartphone, all I see on the smartphone is ERS and social, and the top of it is chopped off. So, Jeremy, if you're watching this, you might want to reconsider doing your banner channel, make it so that it fits. It is more towards the middle, and so it's better visual on a smartphone. Check your statistics and see how many people are watching on a smartphone versus how many people are watching on a video channel. He's got 30.7 thousand channels. He's doing really, really, really well. And he has his Patreon thing off to the lower right-hand corner. So, very smart, not putting, he's got his Instagram on there. But anyway, you only want to put something there that's going to make you money or help promote your channel. You want to keep people on platform. The only reason why you take people off platform if it's going to make you money. Again, look at the thumbnails. He does a really good job with thumbnails. He does a really, really good content. There is one issue that I had. There's only one issue I have with. I'm going to bring up a video, but I'll have to quickly pause it. This is the one issue. Okay, so I had to pause it so you don't get the audio. He has these lights off to the left and right. Jeremy, if there's one thing I wish you would change is get rid of those lights. It's almost like I'm staring at an oncoming car, oncoming train. I find it distracting. This is just me. I find it distracting. So I would, if you can, switch it up. Try to put an overhead light, as I hope to put an overhead light, and get rid of those weird pillars of light off to your left and your right. Other than that, got nothing else to say. Basically, that's about it. And that's, of course, just my opinion. That big lights off to the side. My advice is get rid of that. Make your set look just a little bit better. All right. I'm going to pour Erik Wait is a handsome gentleman. Bill, you're going to make your nose grow. All right. Every time a Glencairn rings, an angel gets its wings. That's all right. Let's pour something else. All right. So this is the West Cork limited release Irish whiskey barrel proof, 62% alcohol by volume. Wowzy. I like the label. The label looks like Ireland at the bottom. Nice clear lettering. Made with the finest hand-selected ingredients. You don't want feet-selected ingredients. You want hand-selected ingredients. Matured in bourbon casks. Nice clear lettering. There's I guess it's a map on the bottom of the label. Anyway, I'm going to pour myself a little bit. West Cork. So Cork is on the southern end of Ireland. That's where Middleton Distillery is at. This needs some air. I'm not getting much on the nose. It needs some time to breathe. It's super faint, but it's a neck pour. So I'm going to. It's so faint. I'm getting a little bit of citrus, a little bit of apple, but it's really, really closed, which I would expect at this point, and might even need a drop of water. Apples, honey crisp apples, cinnamon, baking spices, vanilla. It just says Irish whiskey. It doesn't say blend. It doesn't say single malt. What the hell is it? Limited Irish whiskey made. It doesn't say what type it is. Whiskey, grain, and malt Irish whiskey. Okay, so it's grain whiskey. It's a blended whiskey. It's a grain whiskey and malt in bourbon casks. All right, so it's a blend. But that malty character, a little bit of that malty character definitely shows up on the back end. Of course, I've already had 2 other whiskeys, but it doesn't have like a huge bite. It's crisp. Of course, I've already warmed up with 2 other whiskeys, so perhaps that the bite is diminished because I already had a couple of whiskeys, right? It's light. It's airy. It has some elegance and finesse. It does seem young. Doesn't necessarily have a huge development, but thus far I like it. It has a little bit nice honey note to it. It is hot, but 62% alcohol by volume. What are you expecting, right? But still nice. It's nice. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, where are we at? All right, Swedish Whiskey Girl, the Malted Man Cave, the Mash and Drum, Scotch for Dummies. Oh, I need to take Bill's comment off real quick. So because it's covering it up. But thanks for the money, Bill. Swedish Whiskey Girl, Malted Man Cave, the Mash and Drum, Scotch Test Dummies, the Whiskey Dictionary, the Whiskey Tribe. I don't know why they put the Whiskey Tribe, not the Whiskey Vault. Same people. Whiskey Vault's a bigger channel. Maybe it doesn't make a difference. Alan, the Whiskey Friend, and Trini and C. So I'm going to go through all these really, really, really quick. I had heard of the Swedish Girl. I think she was a guest on Roy's channel, but wasn't really familiar with her. Keith, Malted Man Cave, I've had him on my channel. Of course, I know Jason. All the rest of these, I know. I've never met Alan in person. Haven't met Trini and C in person, but Scott and Bart know them. Jason know them. Of course, Bill, we've been friends for a while. And Daniel and Rex, of course, met them several times. Good friends as well. All right, let me take this off real quick. So let me bring up the Swedish Whiskey Girl. So I'm glad this isn't a sausage fest. If it'd be crude about it, that we do have a couple women on the channel who are doing a fantastic job, very different, very distinct, have their own personalities, and they're not trying to act like the guys. I think they're doing a great job. So let me bring her channel up real quick. Uh-oh. Her video's playing. I didn't mean to do that. Uh-oh. Because I don't have copyright. I don't have rights to her music. Hold on. Son of a gun. Ah! Where'd it go?
Welcome back, it's Moe K, Swedish Whiskey Girl, and today
where did it go?
1-year anniversary here on YouTube. It's so exciting, and to celebrate, why not do a little updated whiskey shelves video? It seems a lot of you.
I can't find it. I can hear it, but I can't see it.
And yeah, I've done one before, but I think they've actually had a little issue with
the browser disappeared
for some reason.
Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. The browser disappeared. I couldn't find it. A little oops. I don't have copyright. I don't have rights to the music she's playing in the background, so I was a little concerned there. She may have rights to it, and I don't, so I don't want to do that. All right, close that. Give me a second here. Things got a little goofed. Son of a gun. All right, I closed the window. No, I closed the window. I shouldn't have. Hold on. Little goof here. I actually closed. I closed my. I'm gonna close it. Hold on. I closed my StreamYard screen. No, there we go. Okay, we're good. One more time. All right, I'll bring it up. These things are bound to happen, especially after you've had a few. All right, there we go. Share screen. There you go. Ta-da, 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 ta-da. All right, there we go. All right, so now you should all be seeing the Swedish girl, the Swedish whiskey girl. Let's see if I can find. So she has 4.24 subscribers. First thing, Swedish whiskey girl, if you're watching this, at the beginning of your video, in the lower left or right hand corner, your name should show up in a little pop-up window. You say your name at the beginning of the video, but I can't tell. I'm sure it's a Swedish name, that it's not like Mary or Susan or a more common name that we know here in the United States. Have your name show up in writing along with your logo at the bottom of the video. So the person who's new and watching your video will know who you are. So if you start watching this, I was kind of sort of surprised. She's a Swedish whiskey girl. I started watching the video, and guess what? She has a slight, Scottish accent, but it didn't sound 100% Scottish. It has a little bit of that Swedish tone to it. So she's actually living in Edinburgh, Scotland. When I was in Scotland last time, I had a tour guide. I was like, her accent sounds funny. And it turns out this woman was from France. She was from Savoie, France. And so she had a Scottish accent with mingled with a French and Scottish accent. At the whiskey experience in Edinburgh, the person leading it was from, I think she was from, I forget. Anyway, she was from another country, but she had a blend of Scottish and her native homeland. So she's actually in Scotland, so she has a Scottish accent. So here's my recommendation. First, as I said before, remove the logos from other social media platforms and banner. Keep people on the platform. Put your name in the about section of your channel. This is probably almost every channel does this. Put your name in there. Enunciate your name in the intro to your video and put it in writing in the video. So if you want an example of how to start your videos, just as an example, someone does a really good job. Look at Shayla, Whiskey Central. She says what her name is. Her name shows up like at the bottom, like over here. It says, or over here, wherever. Her name shows up. She's got the logo. She has her name Shayla on there, right? So you want to market your name so people know who you are. If you're not going to use your personal name in the actual name of the channel. Other than that, I think you're doing a really good job. Things that I like about it, she draws, in terms of aromas and flavors and stuff like that, she draws on her experience in her homeland to describe whiskeys. And in doing that, and she talks about things from her childhood or something from her parents or grandparents or whatever else, that helps people connect with you. People, it's not just about the whiskey, it's about people getting to like you, and it's going to be you that they're drawn to and want to keep coming back to, because and then what you're going to build a community. So you want people to connect with you, and by sharing something personal from, obviously you're not from Scotland, but from Sweden, and sharing that as part of the experience of how you describe whiskeys, people are going to connect with that. They like to hear those stories. talking about whiskey isn't just about analyzing the whiskeys and giving statistics about the whiskey. This ABV, and it was made this way, and it was this kind of a shape of a line arm, and this kind of a still, and yada 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 yada, and this kind of barley, whatever else. It's about telling stories that people want to hear. You can be entertaining and be funny and joking and all that, but it's about telling really good stories that people are going to make a connection with. If you notice, Daniel Whittington, he shares a lot of stories. Rex does too, but I think Daniel does it more. Shares stories and how, hey, it could be a garden that you're in. It could be a tree. It could be a fruit. It could be a pie your grandmother made. Whatever it is. Share that, because that's going to make a connection with people, as well as being relatable in your description of the whiskey, right? So, and she does a really, really good job of that. Really, really good job of that. I think she's doing fantastic, and I wish her all the best. So, a lot of pros and things for all of us to work on. One of the things one of my challenges, every once in a while, I get a Thuffer and Thuckatath, Sylvester the cat, or Elmer Fudd. Particularly if I've had a few, I can get sort of the Elmer Fudd syndrome going on. Hunting wabbits. You can get a little of that going on. So learning to communicate well, communicate clearly. I actually, a lot of times, have to sort of over-enunciate in order to speak clearly. I slow down and make sure I'm hitting all the syllables in my words, so that I'm not slurring my words. Otherwise, I can be right? Right? Is Erik Wait your name or an alias? Michael? No, that's my real name. No, that's my real name. My name's Erik Wait. My middle name is Fleming, which was my paternal grandmother's maiden name. My father was Leon Waite. My grandfather was Chester Waite. And I had 4 brothers, David Waite, Christopher Waite, Adam Waite, and my younger brother, Joshua Waite, the Waite family. Now, you go back several generations, it was Waite with an E on the end. And if you go way back to the 1620s, the first member of the Waite family was here. Came over from Wales. So my family's been here since the 1620s, but the E got dropped a few generations back. But yeah, it's a Welsh name. There's not a whole lot of famous Waites. There was a John Waite who was in a band called the Babies during the early 70s, and then he kind of went solo. His one-hit wonder is I Ain't Missing You. I think that's like his one song that I know, John Waite. So it's a real name. The K, there were 4 Erics on the neighborhood I grew up on. The other 3 spelled it with a C. I spelled it with a K, thankfully. My mom got the name from a cigar commercial, and that's how I got the spelling of my name. Bill, I almost laughed when the whiskey came out my nose. Bill says his real name is Jeffrey Stein Dinglehopper. Bill, that was going to be our secret. You know, we're supposed to tell people that. Yes, my real name is Jeffrey Stein Dinglehopper. Anyway, all right, let's get back into it. You know what this whiskey tastes? I'm getting a little bit of a beer note to it. The Malted Man Cave, Keith. Malted Man Cave. He only puts out videos like once a month. He's not putting out that much content. And now people got lives. Now people get busy. So it's understandable why we're not necessarily putting out a lot of content. A long time ago, I had Keith on my channel. We did an October 8. I don't know if that video is still on my channel or not. Real nice guy. Let's see if I can bring him up. I've had him on. I think he primarily focuses on Scotch. There we go. The Malted Man Cave. So Keith, if you're watching this, the banner looks cool. In terms of the background, I like the color, the two-tone color. It looks really cool. However, I would put your logo. I know the logo would cover up part of the distillery. So move the distillery. You see that long part? That long part right here? Move this over here so that this is off to the left, so that this part is in the center. And put your, I don't know if you can see the cursor or not. Put your logo maybe smack dab there and move it over there and put it centered. Whatever. But your name and a mission statement. Again, I'm saying this again over and over again. You need a mission statement. The Patreon's fine because you want to bring in some money, get rid of the Twitter and the other stuff. Thumbnails are okay. Playlists are okay, but you don't put out content very often. One of the things in order to, I thought I was already subscribed. By the way, if you don't put out content long enough and people, consequently, people don't watch your channels, YouTube can unsubscribe you. Believe it or not. So if you don't put out content very often, and so people are not watching you very often because people like something to watch weekly or whatever. If you only put, unless you're putting just amazing videos once a month, right? Just blockbuster like videos once a month, right? They're just mind blowing. They get 1 million views overnight. Unless you put out that kind of quality content. If you want to put out a video once a month, you're going to become forgotten. People aren't going to be looking for watching. They're not looking for your content to come out. Consequently, they're not watching. And if they aren't keep watching your videos, YouTube will unsubscribe them from your channel. No joke. No joke. Jim Ingram said he had to resubscribe to my channel a couple of times. Don't know why I got unsubscribed, but I'm going to drink some water. I'm going through my list of everybody I've subscribed to. I'm like, where in the heck is so-and-so? Did they close their channel? I look them up and nope, YouTube unsubscribed me. It could be just part of their jackass algorithm or whatever. I don't know. But if you don't keep putting out content, people might assume that you're not doing anything anymore and unsubscribe. So I would recommend increasing the content. Now, do your videos however you want to maintain people watching. Long periods of or just silence or just kind of bump. Or if you start talking about sports or politics, you go off topic, right? A lot of time people, I don't give a rat's ass about basketball. You're going on and on and on about basketball or some movie you watched or a hockey game. I'm out. There's a lot of topics that I could discuss and would love to talk about. Philosophy, art, music, unless it's distinctly tied to and related to whiskey, I don't go down that path. I do talk about music and I talk about aesthetics. I'm talking about it, but it's all revolving around and tying it back into whiskey. Some of your videos, you go off track and talking about a bunch of things non-related to whiskey. I think your average viewer is they're out. They're not going to watch. So, all right. So enough about that one. But Keith's a real nice guy. I never met him in person. Next, the mash and drum. I'll bring him up real quick, but I seriously, I've already mentioned him twice, even before bringing him up. I think he's just doing an absolute killer job. I'm bringing his screen up real quick. There we go. The mash and drum. If you aren't subscribed to the mash and drum, you definitely should be. Now, if you're a whiskey tuber, there's a lot you can learn from Jason. First of all, look at his banner. The white pops with the black background, but he also has this sort of faded in the background image of himself off to the right and the other and the barrels and whatever off to the left. His logo, which very much stands out, is smack dab in the middle. I could see that logo on a t-shirt from a mile away, and I would go, that's mash and drum. He did a great artwork on that. It showed this whole thing. Look on your smartphone. It shows up really, 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 really well. He doesn't have anything on the banner that takes you off platform on the lower right. By the way, I am subscribed to his channel. This is being brought up in another browser that I don't normally use. 54,000 subscribers. There was a time in which he had less subscribers than I did. He's done a really, really fantastic job. Now his channel focuses primarily on bourbon. However, he does some whiskeys. He's done Irish whiskeys and so forth. I was a little surprised he was a contributor, not because of his abilities or his knowledge or anything like that, only because he doesn't have a huge emphasis on Scotch. But I think there's enough there that would qualify him to be brought into the OSWA Awards as a contributor. But you didn't see a lot of the other bourbon channels on there. But his video, his audio, his quality, the sound, he is both heavy. I know I'm putting a lot of butter on his bread or kissing his ass, you want to put it that way. He has both information and entertainment. He has infotainment down. His thumbnails Sometimes I think he puts too much stuff that makes it difficult to read. He just got too much stuff written on his thumbnails, but hey, he gets the job done. He does a really good job because he's grown so fast, because he grabs, excuse me, so much attention. He gets a lot of great guests. His playlists are really well done. So he has blind mashups, Scotch, Scotchy, live streams, blind mashups, Scotch reviews, bourbon reviews, top 5 videos, Blendageddon, what's on the shelf Wednesday. So he puts out videos on Wednesdays called one rye whiskey reviews, another round whiskey. So those are collaborations. So he's got his playlist down pretty good. All right. The only thing I could say about Jason is drink more Ardbeg. Well, I just think he's got it down packed, and there's a reason why he's succeeding. He nails it in content, quality, frequency, thumbnails, audio, lighting, editing. I could do an whole thing about editing, and I haven't been commenting about anybody's editing. He does a great job at editing. He just got the full package going on there. I'm inspired to improve my channel. One of the things I have been working on this year is improving my editing styles. If you go back to 2020 or 2019 and compare my 2019 videos versus the way I'm doing now, I think I'm doing a better job of editing now than it was in 2019, but it's a constant work in progress. So basically, I spent time learning from YouTube consultants, Nick Nimmin and others, but also just searching various categories, how to edit, how to do thumbnails, and just improving my delivery of content. All right. Scotch test dummies. All right. I love these guys. Oops. Hold on. Dang it. Sorry, my son of a bitch. Sorry, my computer is just screwing with me. All right, there we go. It's not cooperating. Okay, let's see if I can bring this back up again. Being a pain in the ass. It's switch modes. Damn it. All right. All right, Scotch test dummies. All right. So these guys are probably heavier on entertainment than they are for information. In fact, they have kind of a new slogan. We don't do the research, so you have to. Hold on. I got the screen share on? No, I don't. All right. Sorry, I got to do the screen share. All right. Scotch test dummies. Love these guys personally. I love the character. I think they're great guys. Met them several times, hung out. I've had Scott on my channel several times. I love the banter. I love the interaction. They're really, really funny. They personify a channel in which you get into not just the whiskeys, but the people behind it. They have that nailed down. That it's about the personalities. If you're going to be a whiskey tuber, you've got to make more than just giving your 2 cents about whiskey, because everybody's got their opinions about a whiskey, whatever else, and everybody can Google information, but they're gonna connect with the personalities. And these guys are freaking hilarious. I love these guys. Every time I see this black and white that they have, they're playing off the test dummy thing, a crash dummies thing. Every time I see something yellow and black, maybe it's a roadblock or a yield sign or something like that on the side of the road, I think of Scotch test dummies. They've made this part of their branding, this yellow and black, and put it into everything. If you look at their thumbnails, they've carried that coloration into the thumbnails. That's freaking brilliant. All right. So that they basically use that as part of their branding image. Now they put their other channels on here off to the right. I think the Patreon's fine. The website's fine. I would get rid of the Twitter and the Instagram. Don't take people off platform unless it's going to make you money. This past year has been a bit challenging, challenge for them, but they do these great series, whether it's a long series of blind tastings of peated whiskeys, sherried whiskeys, and stuff like that. Just a fantastic channel. More on the entertainment side than on the information side. However, I've come to respect them. Bart's a big peat guy. Scott's a big sherry guy. Scott, he had the vid, and he had a long-term effects on the vid, but I think he's about 95% back. So, Scott, if you're watching this, hope you're doing well. And if you're on 100%, I hope you're there already. Fernando says, it's because you didn't start session in the browser. I don't know what that means, but whatever. We'll move on. Need to stay Scotch with their name. Okay, so Scotch Test Dummies, they were going to stay Scotch, Scotch, Scotch. And then they got into bourbons and American single malts and Texas whiskeys. I think them going off brand in terms of the Scotch, they've done a fine job. Because I think more about them as the people rather than the title of the channel. Then I don't have that necessarily a tight association between drinking Scotch and the name of the channel. Scotch for Dummies, they're 99% Scotch and they stuck to that. But recently they've been branching out a little bit into bourbons and like a little bit into Irish. In fact, they had Jason from Mash and Drum on the channel. Wow. I forgot. I forgot that was cash drink. I forgot that was 62%. And I just put a big mouth in. Hey, Donner Pass Whiskey, how you doing? Wow. Shouldn't have done that. Forgot how big it was. That one was a little burny going down. A little bit in the throat. I can feel it. All right. This West Cork single malt Irish whiskey, Glengarriff series, peated char cask. So the Glenlivet did a peated Nadura in which they use a peated cask. Basically a cask that used to have peated whiskey in it. This is the same thing. I can, man, my throat. I'm going to pour a little bit in here, let it breathe, and let my throat recover and get that raspy character going on there. As I talk about the next Whisky Tuber. Man, I got that voice going on. Wow. Oh. Wow. Man, I'm feeling that one. All right, let's get back into it. All right. Bill, the Whiskey Dictionary. So if you are a whiskey tuber and you want to learn how to, Bill, I think, was one of the early people.
Hello and welcome to the Whiskey.
Bill was one of the early people who understood the platform long before a lot of the rest of us did. I think the only people who really understood, and this is my 2 cents, who really, in terms of the whiskey tuber thing, who were really understanding the platform and doing it justice was the Whiskey Vault or the Whiskey Tribe. Bill understood because he learned from Nick Nimmin. It was actually Bill who turned me on to Nick Nimmin. And so now he has the things that, he has on there, but that could take him off, off platform. That's a no according to Nick Nimmin and all this. Bill has also, but Bill is not stagnated. He's changed his channel a lot. He's constantly experimenting and constantly seeking to improve. He hasn't rested on his laurels and the success of the past. And one of the things he's done really, really well is I'm going to mute the audio because he might have something in there I don't have a right to. I'm going to bring it up. So, so he has a new. I was glad he did this. And now I'm getting the swirly thing on there. All right, forget that. So you can see there he improved his set. So he has a whole new room with a whole new set with a color in the background. He has his logo on the banner behind him. This was something I was waiting for him to do for a long time because he used to do things from like his kitchen countertop. It looked fine. It looked okay, but it didn't have that professional look. When you are first impressions, if your video looks pro, it looks like you're in a professional studio, it makes a huge impression. People go, this looks good, therefore the quality of the rest of it, it has that first impression. Now, a person could be a really good chef and, cook food out of a shack and serve you fantastic food out of a shack. But first impressions when going into a restaurant and the beauty, the linen, the glasses, the spotless glasses and the shiny silverware, it makes a huge impression. The atmosphere of the restaurant makes a huge impression. And the same thing goes for your channel. You want a professional looking channel, not you sitting in your backyard, not you on the couch, not you on, whatever. You want, if you really want to take it up to the next level, create, and you don't have to build something into a room, because only thing that matters is what they see within that camera. You could even you can do green screen in your background and do a really good job of it, right? There's a lot of different things you could do, inexpensive, without having to rebuild your house or your apartment and still pull it off. It can be done. It's just whatever shows up on camera. Everything else around you could look like crap, but if that doesn't show up on camera, it doesn't matter. It's only what shows up on camera that really, really, really counts. All right, so Bill, right off the bat, the banner, the thumbnails, particularly the thumbnails, the titles, everything else. And he's continued to improve the quality of his videos. I have learned a lot from Bill in terms of how to improve my channel. And if you want to do a whiskey channel and you want to learn, this is a guy to definitely check out and learn from. And he doesn't take himself too seriously. He's got a good sense of humor. And let's get real, that bald head is absolutely gorgeous. What more can you say about that? All righty. And yes, Bill and I once met up in San Diego, but we're not allowed to talk about that. The Whiskey Tribe. You know what? Not much to say about the Whiskey Tribe or the Whiskey Vault. Kind of surprised they put the Tribe and not the Vault, because the Vault was the first channel. It's their largest channel. I can't think of much that I could say to improve the channel. They are 95% entertainment, 5% information, if that much. That's just the way they are. There's a very similar theme as to a lot of other whiskey tubers, is they have that give and take, going back and forth, and all that. The banter, it's like Scotch test dummies. In fact, I think Daniel and Rick have played a sort of a role model for some of the bourbon channels, that not that they imitate them in terms of their personalities or anything like that, but to just get the idea that, hey, this is what works really, really well for a channel. All right. And all right, let's go to the whiskey friend, Alan, the whiskey friend. Oh, shoot, man. Clickety, click, click, click. All right. Alan, the whiskey friend. All right, so, that's Tran C. Sorry, wrong click. What the heck? I'll get to them next. All right, here we go. Alan. And do a share screen. So if you guys haven't already subscribed to Alan, the whiskey friend, highly recommend it. So Alan has had, let's make sure I'm sharing now. Yes. Alan has had, I would say, one of the biggest escalations of the quality of the content of his channel, with a constant tweaking and improving the channel, that I would say out there. I remember Alan when he first started. I had him as a guest on a live stream on my show. He's been constant improving and changing. I think the banner works perfectly fine. Right in the middle, the whiskey friend, the pleasure is in the sharing. That's the motto. It worked. If you check this out on your smartphone, it shows up really, really well. Look at his thumbnails. He's doing a fantastic job. Nice, big, bold print. Easy to read. Clear as to what it's all about. He's got let's check his playlist real quick. The playlists are done really, really well. But what really, really sells it, and let's get down to it, is Alan's personality. Alan is a funny guy. He's a Glaswegian, someone from Glasgow, living in Manchester. Great personality, and I like his input on his whiskey. If you haven't, he's got 4.19 subscribers. Just an all-around great guy. Really, really glad. One of these days we got to meet up. The next time we're in Scotland, Alan, you need to meet me in Glasgow or something. And if you don't, I will come down. I will hunt you down. I will find where you are, and we will have a dram together. All right, next. So definitely check out Alan. All right, Trenny and C. Trenny and C have been around a long time. These guys are freaking hilarious. In terms of the snazzy part of doing Whiskey Tuber channel, maybe they could tweak some things. Put a little bit more finesse, a little more elegance in there. But make sure this is showing. Okay. Son of a gun. No, we're good. Okay, we're cool. Okay, these guys are freaking hilarious. They remind me. There were these two. It was a comedian, The Great White North. It was on Saturday Night Live skit, and then they also made a movie. The McKenzie brothers. They remind me of the McKenzie brothers. They have the stereotypical Canadian accent, good humor. They don't dress too fancy. Great repartee between the two of them. Good content. No, the banner shows up well, I think, on smartphone. I like it's not whiskey something, whiskey this or that whiskey. They have branded their name, Trenny and C. And then new episodes Thursday and Saturday. And they put Trenny and C Whiskey Reviews. So you know from the banner what it is they're doing. They spelled that out right up front, and then they have barrels in the background. So they're checking all the boxes right down there. The logo is kind of funny. I guess it's a French flag with a whiskey guy in the background, but it also kind of looks like a sports logo in sort of a way. So if you haven't checked out Trenny and C, highly recommend checking them out. They just freaking crack me up. They have a distinctive sense of humor. And I just really, really enjoyed Trenny and C. So check them out. They do Scotch. They occasionally do bourbons. They got to do what they have available to them. But I would say they're mostly doing Scotch. But they'll also do Canadian whiskeys. Of the people who've done Canadian whiskey reviews, they've done some of the best. And they've had Dr. Don Livermore. They've of Weiser. They've had him on this channel several times. And if you ever get to check out the videos with Dr. Don Livermore, great learning channels. You definitely want to check those out. All right. Man, this is going to be long. How long are we going? We're going an hour and 47 minutes. Wow, this is getting long. All right. Next, we are in the running. We're down into the final 8. Whiskey Central, Whiskey in the 6, Jason Whiskey, Whiskey Mystery, Whiskey Neighbor, Whiskey Novice, and Whiskey Wednesday, and Whiskey Whistle. Man, we're down into the final run. And I can see if my voice holds up. Shouldn't have slammed that whiskey. Whiskey Central. Now, everybody should know her by now. She filled in for Roy Aquavite when he was on vacation. He takes a month off, like July or August every summer. Usually heads down to Spain. Shayla's doing an absolutely fantastic job. The enthusiasm. I think she's doing the video content really, really well. She's got the thumbnails. Look at the thumbnails. Thumbnails are done really well. Easy to read. She's got her face on there. I would probably be better off believe it or not, putting my face on a thumbnail. For some reason, statistically, if you have your face on a thumbnail, people are more likely to click it than if you just have bottles. I've never put my face on a thumbnail, or maybe only once or twice. It's probably something I should do. It's considered a best practice, but I don't do it. Here are my recommendations. I would say, Shayla, the name of your channel is not on your banner. It just says you're home for all things whiskey. I don't see so you should put Whiskey Central on your banner and put it in the middle of your banner and then double check and make sure that it's going to show up good on smartphones. So she has 4.32 thousand subscribers. By the way, Trenny C had 9.45. I haven't been mentioned subscriber levels. Whiskey Friend has 4.19. All right, let's move on. So she has a wide variety of whiskeys, including Scotch, Irish, and bourbon. So I would put your name in the banner and on your homepage. Remove the logos from other social media platforms. I've said this a gazillion times tonight. Keep people on the platform. Put your name in the About section. This is common. People need to put your name. Who is this person? Who is this? Tell me more about this person. You don't think people look in the About section? My About section has like over 1 million views. I have more people looking at my About section than any other portion of my channel. People want to know who you are. Who is this person? Why should I be watching this person? So So put more content about yourself, particularly your name, and what your channel is about in your about section. Thumbnails are good. Titles are good. Video, audio, and lighting are all good. Great presentation. You're very articulate and you're very engaging. So, and those are the more important things. And those are the more important things about being a whiskey tuber. Eventually, I want to have her on as a guest, but she's been super, super busy. Last I heard, she's actually in Portugal at the moment. And in fact, I was chatting with her a little bit on a live stream and said, "Hey, have you made it up to the Douro?" All right. Whiskey in the Six. Rob, Whiskey in the Six. Bring him up. I am getting tired. All right. Da-da-da-dum. Share. Da-da-dum. So Rob. So Rob just built like a new set. So that's still in the works, but it looks absolutely fantastic. Huge improvement over his previous one. There's a little bit of an echo in that room. If you're having challenges with the echo, put some batting. You can use pillows, you can use blankets, you can put something else in the room that's going to help absorb that sound. Rob, your banner does not show up on a smartphone. So I would take your Whiskey in the Six, put it down into the center part of the banner, and reduce it to that. Other than that, so thumbnails are okay. I think your content's great. My favorite thing, and I'll get it with so Rob and Jeremy with Social Sipper Social Club, they do something called Whiskey Rant. I think that's the best content that the two of them put out, and they put them out together, and it shows up on both of the channels. They had Ralphie and their rant, so I think it's the best content out there. Rob, your introduction to your videos is 21 seconds long. That's too damn long. Okay. People are there to watch you, not to watch your intro. You should be there first. Hey, I'm Rob Whiskey in the Six, and today I'm going to be reviewing whatever the name of the whiskey is. A 4-second intro at the most. I used to have 15-minute intros before you ever saw me. I got it down to 4 seconds. You should be the first person they see. You introduce what it is you're going to talk about, maybe have a 4-second clip at the most with a little bit of music that introduces the whiskey and your channel. If you want to use a standard video intro at that point, that's fine. But this 21-second intro is just too damn long. So I would recommend redoing the banner so that the logo fits on a smartphone. Check out Mash and Drum's channel on a smartphone and see that as an example. Let's see. Your whole intro says nothing about the video they're about to watch. So I like your new set, but I hope you improve the audio. All right, and that's about it on that one. Other than that, great content. So if I want to get into particularly Campbelltown whiskeys or anything out of Edrington, I'm probably going to check out Rob and Jeremy's channels first. They've just done more things from Campbelltown, particularly Springbank, so I highly recommend for checking that out. Hope to make it to Canada to meet you guys. So those are my recommendations for your improvements. Now, he's a busy guy. I might get into this whiskey. You know, he does a kickboxing business. He's a school teacher. He's a father, and he's got little kids. So he's a busy man. But those are my recommendations. All right, so this has been open now for a little while. This is the West Cork non-age statement peated charred cask. I get a little bit of smokiness there, but it's not huge. A little bit of green apple. A little bit of peppery spice. There's a sort of a doughy character, like a fresh dough, cookie dough character. Smells better than a Connemara, I can tell you that. There's a bubblegum character. From the old baseball cards, we had that hard piece of gum in there. It's gonna get something like that on the palate. I see 86 says, is that because you can't remember San Diego? Oh, regarding about, I want to talk about Bill. Yeah, Bill and I were whacking it in San Diego. That bubblegum character carries through on the palate. If you like smoky bubblegum, there you go. It's got some green apple in there. It's got some spice. That bubblegum, it's the baseball card, or some sort of collector card bubblegum. And it sticks around on the back end. And the peatiness is a little weird. There's a marshmallow character in there as well. Something like a slightly blackened marshmallow character in there. It's kind of weird. Anyway, I'll get full review later. Let's move on. Whiskey Jason. Man, I wish I had a simpler way of pulling these up. This has been a major pain in the ass pulling these individual channels up like this. Whiskey Mystery. There we go, Whiskey Jason. So I didn't know this until I actually started looking more into his channel. But Whiskey Jason actually has 2 channels. So he's an American living in Germany. I don't know if he's still an American citizen. He always looks like he needs a shave. So right off the bat, Jason, you put on there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. People don't give a rat's ass Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They'll watch their videos when you get around to it. Unless you have people just hanging on the edge and they need to know when you're going to put your next video or regular time, you don't need to put that on there. Tell me something a little about just whiskey reviews. Whiskey Jason, your logo should be smack dab in the middle of that banner, and then tell me about what your channel's all about, smack dab in the middle there. Now, he has a link over to the lower right-hand counter. That takes you over to his German channel. His German channel is actually twice the size, more than twice the size of his American channel or his English-speaking channel. Check out the playlists. His playlists are done well. If you want to know about the various categories, he's got it all covered down. He's done a really good job with this. The thumbnails, they function. They do the job, but I wouldn't say they're all that attractive. There is one, but some of these thumbnails, hold on, Jason, that's your thumbnail for that. 2 guys standing there, and then they're completely blocked out by the large lettering. It's kind of lazy. Glasgow Distillery, John O'Connor, whatever. I wouldn't do that. Come up with some other idea for you're blocked out. You're blocked. You can't see what the heck is behind it. It's not. Think about a label, branding yourself, making a label, and how you would do a whiskey bottle. Also, check out the about section. So I have on there, so good playlist, but remove your Monday, Wednesday, Friday from the banner. Put your logo smack dab in the middle of it. Put a tagline or mission statement on the channel banner. The intro, this was really annoying. The intro music to his channel is the same as the outro music to whiskey.com. Right? Horst. So 2 different channels in Germany, and they're using the exact same music. Jason, I know, because here's what happens: is as soon as I hear that music, I don't think Whiskey Jason. I think Horst. I'm thinking whiskey.com. People associate sounds or certain visual or even certain fonts with someone who first become equated with that. And so when I hear that music, I don't think Whiskey Jason. I think a Horst. Get rid of it. Change it. I would highly recommend it. So the thumbnails in which you have lettering completely covering the pictures don't make any sense. I would change those. But Whiskey Jason, seems extremely knowledgeable. He does his homework in terms of content and telling you about the whiskey. I think he does a fine job. I appreciate his input. Whiskey Mystery. This is one of the most So I'm bringing, man, I am getting a little tired. Whiskey Mystery used to be called Captain 3D. So it's Phil and Deepa. Phil, I'm trying to think if I get this correct. I think he's a 3D animation expert. I think he literally wrote the book on it. He has some videos that are done extremely well on 3Ds. So his channel was originally for doing some sort of like 3D art, animation, and then he started doing whiskey, and then whiskey took over. So when we met up, they're super, super, super nice people. They're both from England, but they're American citizens. I think they became Americans in 2011. Super, super nice people, live in the Bay Area. We met up once, super hospitable, really, really nice people. Their channel is really, really interesting. Whiskey Mystery really suits the title of the channel, suits what they're doing really, really, really well. Let me bring it up real quick. And I'll show it to you. I wish I had an assistant to handle all this. So if you look at their banner, look it on your smartphone. Their banner fits perfectly on a smartphone. It's done. That's really, really smart. The sort of tan, paper bag background with the whiskey bottles on it, and the fact that it looks like a ripped paper bag, because you use a paper bag, right, to conceal when you're doing blind tasting, is really, really, really smart. Really good imagery, clear reading. Whiskey Mystery, I think it tells you what it's about because you got the big question mark on there. Do you need to put a statement on there? In terms of what it's about, I don't know. The thumbnails are okay. Now, there are some things that they do that I think are making things challenging for themselves. They aren't necessarily a critique, but I think it makes it challenging for growing the channel. Now, you can do whatever you want. They're doing something very unique and distinct that brings a completely different content to the Whiskey Tuber world, to the Whiskey Tuber community. I don't think we need more Whiskey Tubers who are doing the same thing that it's already been done and everybody else is doing it. So I'm glad they're bringing something very different to it. However, your video titles are not created for SEO, search engine optimization. Nobody is searching for the titles of your videos. So when I do a video, let's say I'm reviewing the latest Ardbeg committee release, I know people are looking for it. People are searching for the latest art. So by putting it in the title, as well as featuring on the thumbnail, people are going to see my review of that whiskey in comparison with others, and they're going to click on mine before theirs because I have a better thumbnail, and that because it is a highly sought after whiskey and it's in the title, people are googling or searching either on the YouTube. YouTube has the second largest or second fastest, most expansive search engine. When people are searching on Google and they're searching for these videos, my video will show up on Google. Your titles are kind of like the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. They're made up. You're making these up and they make them up. And so it doesn't tell anybody anything. And so just to let you know, that's a challenge. You can keep doing whatever you want to do, but I'm saying nobody's looking for those titles. So in terms of searchability, they're not finding it now because the theme is blind tasting. And so maybe you don't want to have a title that's going to tell the viewer ahead of time as to what the whiskey is. So you only want them to know what the whiskey was towards the end. I totally get that. But just let you know, in terms of channel growth and that kind of a thing, that's what's going to make it a challenge. I like, there's videos you do in which you go visit a local whiskey shops or like K&L. I like it because I'm in California, Bay Area native, and I go, I've been there. I like those videos. I like watching those videos. Or sometimes your trips to Scotland were great because people want to go to Scotland, even if they haven't been there, even if they don't live there, they don't want to go there. However, I think it's challenging when you're showing something that's only going to appeal mostly to locals in the Bay Area. It could be a little challenging, but I like them. Maybe people like watching them anyway, but that's just my 2 cents. Other than that, great people. I like the personalities. I like the interaction between them. I like the live streams. I think they do a fantastic job and just really, really neat people. Funny thing is, they're in the Bay Area, excuse me, and I was introduced that they exist because of Roy. Roy found them. Roy Aquaviti. He likes bringing on people who are new to the journey. He likes to encourage people in the whiskey journey, and so he found them somehow and then brought them on, and that's how I got to know who they are. Let me drink some water. But again, I think one of the things that's going to sell is people are going to latch onto is the personalities, and the a different character, different personality, and a different interaction there. And I think that's really, really big. But that can be more important than the thumbnails and the titles and all the rest of this crap I'm talking about. That's really, 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 really important. It's that people are going to not just watch once. See, making out great thumbnails, great banners, great titles will get people to watch once. But having a personality that people like to connect with or can relate to or just like, that'll keep them watching because they're going to watch for you, not necessarily as to whatever whiskey it is. Now, why anybody would watch my personality, I don't know. Cohen says, does wine pedigree matter? Yes. So should whiskey, and you can speak about this, please. Let me bring the comment up. Comments. Bring it up. Does wine pedigree matter? Okay, it all depends. If you're a Whiskey Tuber channel and you're starting off new, I'm new. Hey, we're so and so and so and so. We're new to whiskey. This is our whiskey journey. Come learn about whiskey with us. And so what you're doing is you're sharing your journey and exploration of whiskey. That's how Scotch 4 Dummies started out. That's how Scotch Test Dummies started out. Mine was starting off focused on exams because I was originally doing wine, got into whiskey, and then I realized the whiskey audience and the wine audience were two different audiences. And so I then launched 6 months later my whiskey channel. But there's an element to it that are about exams and about studying, being a little bit more academic. So there are people who watch a channel because they enjoy the journey and they can relate to the journey. But there are other people who are going to watch a channel because there's a level of expertise and they're going to learn from and pick that up. It's not you have to be one or the other. You have to be some sort of whiskey expert before you do a channel because you don't have to be that. And you're always going to grow and you're never going to know everything. I think people turn into Ralphie because, he's Ralphie and he's got that funny character. There's a character there to him. But there's also a level of expertise and years and years and years of knowledge and understanding of whiskey and understanding the whiskey business. And people click on with that. I will always be on a journey, always learning. I'm always learning something new. But I think there's one of the strengths in terms of my wine background, and I'm more and more bringing in my wine background into my understanding, particularly of casks. So that plays in there. My analytical skills that I picked up from studying with master sommeliers, that plays the task in there. But that's just a part. That's just a part. If I was dry and boring or snobby or whatever else, then none of that shit would matter and people would tune out. That's the reality. I try really, really hard not to come off as some guy. Look, I am the teacher, you're the student, and that's how it's going to be. I'm really, really avoid doing that. I have learned a lot, and I'm sharing what I have learned and what I'm sharing about these various channels in terms of how to make improvements. Bill, the Whiskey Dictionary, was doing this long before I was. He was nailing it on these long before I was. He turned me into Nick Nimmin and those other guys, and that's where I learned all that stuff. So I'm just passing on what I've learned from somebody else. Same goes for all the how's the West Cork presented. So I like so 100% pure mustard. I like the cast strength. I like it straight up, although don't gulp a big mouthful of it. I'm still feeling it in my throat, but I like it. It's very light, very delicate, very airy. The West Cork is weird at this, but again, it could take time. It take time to open it, but it's weird. There's a cookie dough character to it. The bubblegum character still there. There's a waft of smoky marshmallows, as well as some fruit underneath. But that cookie doughy character, it's just weird. I'm not sure what to make of it. I don't hate it. I don't like it. It's just weird. So I'm going to give this some more time. I'm going to take another sip. I'm getting a minty character on the back end, which I get with a lot of peated whiskeys. I would say hands down, I prefer this over Connemara. I don't remember how much I paid for it. Is there the price tag's not on there? In case you're wondering, the West Cork cash drink was $45. I think it's a good buy. Everyone, how you doing, man? All right, let's get back into it before I totally burn myself out here. Whiskey Mystery. Whiskey Neighbor, another Canadian. I had seen him around. I'd seen his voice. I wasn't really familiar with his content. Bring his channel up. But I really wasn't familiar with his. You only have so much time. So unless somebody immediately grabs your attention and you're just totally drawn to them, you might not give somebody a second look. And a lot of whiskey tubers don't even watch because they're so busy creating content. They're not paying a lot of attention to what other whiskey tubers are doing. They got kids, they got a job, they got other things to do, right? You can be so busy working on your own channel, you can get time to watch other channels. So right off the bat, look at my notes real quick. Whiskey Neighbor. So if you're starting a new channel, whiskey this, whiskey that, this whiskey, this whiskey, this whiskey. I'd highly recommend people start off with a name that stands out. Whiskey Neighbor, Whiskey Friend, Whiskey Mystery, Whiskey Novice, Whiskey this, Whiskey that, Whiskey Wednesday, whiskey, put your name in there. That's just my recommendation. After a while, you get lost in the ocean of whiskey this or whiskey that. So if you California Chardonnay, do we really need another one? You go to a grocery store, there's an ocean of it at the grocery store. If you're going to start a winery and you're going to grow Chardonnay in California, you're going to get lost. You got to do something to make your brand stand out. My recommendation. So, hold on. Let me just bring this up real quick. Have I already had this up? All right. So let me go through this real quick, and then I'll continue with the comments. He has 4.87 thousand subscribers. His first name is John, Jon. It pops up in the video. He's a whiskey review in Canada. So put your logo central on the channel. I've said this a gazillion times. It's starting to sound like a broken record. In the channel banner, add a mission statement. Tell me what the channel is about. Put your name in the about section. I have probably said this, I don't know how many times tonight. I keep repeating myself on it. It's a common error. The videos are right. Editing's okay. Everything is okay. But there's not that. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, John. Do something that you stand out and differentiate yourself from everybody else. That would probably be my recommendation. And why is this not showing up? Hold on. All right, there we go. Okay, product differentiation. So we've talked about titles. I've talked about banners. Talked about thumbnails. All these things are like a label on a bottle. They're the part of the presentation. There's your personality. There's a character. There's your editing. There's name recognition. How are you going to stand out from this ocean of whiskey tubers? If you're whiskey this, whiskey that whiskey, this whiskey, that whiskey, you're challenging yourself. You're gonna have to do something else. If I look down an aisle at a grocery store and there's 400 bottles of Chardonnay, and you're gonna put out another Chardonnay, you better come up with something to make your brand stand out. This is going to sound offensive. I don't think we need another Whiskey Tuber channel who says, "Hi, my name is Ferdinand." If your name's Ferdinand, whatever, and I'm going to be reviewing this whiskey. There's a gazillion whiskey reviewers. I am looking at weaning off of whiskey reviews and focusing on making distinctively unique whiskey content, particularly as I go into 2022, particularly as I'm focusing on exams. I will still do whiskey content and reviews, but I'm looking into branching into something else. If you haven't checked out First Fill Whiskey, now First Fill Whiskey wasn't one of the contributors. I think he's not exactly in love with the OSWA Awards. I don't think he's in love with it. Based on a comment he's made on one of my videos. However, I want to say this: if you haven't checked out his video, he's nailing everything. He's going to pass me up. He's got the thumbnails. He's got the video. He's got the lighting. He's got the editing. He's got the visual. He's got the titles. He's a handsome young man. Good communicator. He has a very unique, distinctive accent. He doesn't sound like a freaking American, right? He's a New Zealander. He's got a very unique. If you're not going to have a Scottish accent or an Irish accent, he's got the next one, a New Zealand accent. I think the accent works for him. Phil, if you're watching this, my recommendation is don't become another whiskey reviewer. Your video that you recently put out in terms of the history thing is distinct and unique and sets. I think I'm going to be repeating myself. It sets you out apart, makes you distinctive, and that's what's going to help your channel grow. And that you're really going to be contributing something unique to the whiskey tuber community. I would say that for any other whiskey tuber who the channel's not growing and they're doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, I would say think about it, give it some thought, and think of something else to do on your channel that contributes something unique to the whiskey world, right? Mash and Drum, the title of his channel is different. Come up with an idea, think about it. Something else to do that's different that is for the viewer, not for you, that they're going to latch onto and enjoy. Spend some time studying editing, video, audio, lighting. I need to do more of that. Thumbnails and all the rest of that. Bring something unique. If you're thinking about becoming a whiskey tuber, hey, come on in. There's plenty of room, but bring something unique. You better bring your game because it is, in terms of trying to get viewers, very, very, very challenging. All right, next. I know, get off my soapbox. Whiskey Neighbor. All right, Whiskey Novice. So I've had Jim. I really like Jim's channel. Let me bring it up real quick. I've had Jim on my channel twice. I don't mean to offend anybody, any of my other guests, but Jim Ingram, the Whiskey Novice, one of my favorite guests, if not the favorite guests. I think this is probably just on a personal. I think he and I, because of our age and just our personalities, I think we connect really well. So the name's a misnomer. Jim is not a novice. This guy knows his shit. He does a great presentation. I think he speaks well. His pace isn't super fast or hyper or really energetic, like mine might be considered to be, but he's being himself. So Jim, here's a few things I would change. Let me bring up my notes. There are some things that I would recommend you change. Some of those are really, really important. So he's a whiskey tuber in Ireland, but he focused mostly on Scotch. He only has 980 subscribers. That's a crime. His channel should be much larger. I think he's absolutely fantastic. I really enjoy him. His thumbnails are good. His titles are good. But Jim, you need to put your name in the about section of your channel. So people, who is this dude? Put that in there. Put a mission statement in your banners to what your channel's about. Just don't assume, oh, it's about whiskey. Put it in there. Create playlists. Jim, you have all this real estate on the bottom. See all that space underneath? That's valuable real estate. Create playlists. Look, you have no playlists. Create playlists. Create playlists for your Scotch reviews, peated Scotch reviews, Irish reviews, bourbon reviews, all the various categories and the types of whiskeys you've done. If there's a particular distillery in which you've done a lot of the whiskeys, say Bunnahabhain or whatever, then create a Bunnahabhain channel. People are going to want to look around on your channel and find out what you've said about this particular distillery or this particular whiskey. Create playlists. I know you have to go back and do this. Create the playlist and start putting those in there. But your thumbnails that you're on there, the big background, you've done really well. I like your introductions. I think you're great in your personality. Again, one of the most important things is people's personality. I like your articulation and explanation. You have it's a little light music in the background. I think works really, really, really well. At this point, would I suggest changing your name and your branding? Yeah, still under 1,000. You could put Jim, the whiskey novice, or something like that. But I would highly recommend putting your name in there somewhere. And in the balance channel. Jim's one of my. I just like hanging out with the guy. Is the bottom line. I just really had fun with him. I mean, the fact that he comes on and we talk for 2.5 hours, and I'm not in a hurry to get him off the channel. I'm just kind of getting tired after 2.5 hours. That tells you something. I just like hanging out with the guy. All right. Next, Whiskey Wednesday. Dun, dun, dun. I'm kind of surprised. Whiskey Wednesday. There's another channel. I'm kind of surprised his channel isn't larger. All right. Bringing it up real quick. We're getting close. I can feel it in my throat. All right. So Whiskey Wednesday. So similar thing. So don't take people off channel. You got the Facebook thing and the Twitter thing. Get rid of that. Put Whiskey Wednesday in the middle of your banner. You got the bottles up there so people kind of get a general idea. Maybe that is whiskey. Although the clarity on the labels on those bottles on your banner isn't really real clear. He seems like a smart guy, a very knowledgeable guy. I respect his perception and evaluation of whiskeys. So he's got all that going for him. The WW, in terms of the icon, it doesn't tell me anything. If I just see WW, if he's showing up in the chat. So again, why you should have stuck on Wednesday, I don't know. I would have branded your name. But you got Whiskey Wednesday, and that's what you're going with. So stick it in the middle of your banner. Don't take people off channel, off the right-hand side. Your thumbnails are kind of meh. So look at the Bimber, the 2 bottles. Make it so, I need to do this too. Do something a little more artsy with your thumbnails. They're very meh. Maybe put the bottles off to one side or put them at an angle and then make a statement about it. It's a 1-word statement, a 3-word statement about that particular whiskey that is going to be the hook. So I don't know if you guys have billboards. I can't remember if you've seen billboards on the side of the highways or whatever, but think of a billboard. Someone's driving on the freeway past a billboard. They see a big, huge sign for a product. They've got 2 seconds that they're going to look at the billboard. Whatever they see in that billboard has to immediately catch their attention, and they got to know in a blink of an eye what that billboard is about and what it's communicating. Right? So I'm driving down the freeway. I see a bottle of whiskey, Cuddy Sark, on a banner, and it's got to be a 1 or 3-word statement the most that tells me something about that whiskey on that billboard on the side of the freeway. That people are scrolling fast on their smartphones, and they're searching for something, and they're going to flip right on by. There needs to be something that catches their attention, right? Putting your title Whiskey Wednesday in the title of the video, unless it's something they're searching for, it's not really going to work. Playlists are okay. Now, let me close this up real quick. There's something that's a challenge of Whiskey Wednesday. He's not the only one. I think it applies to Whiskey Whistle and with some others, which we'll get to in a second. And you may think, I don't give a rat's ass. I don't care. That's fine. I said this before. Infotainment, information and entertainment. I think Whiskey Wednesday is all information. Now, I'm a nerd, so I can dig that. But the average consumer, average viewer, they need something that's going to grab them, right? You got to bring in the entertainment side. Now, if you don't want to and you don't want to do any of that and you're not into that, and that's not part of your personality, got it. Okay, that's fine. All right, you don't have to act like a total jackass in the video to be entertaining, to be engaging, but to be a really good communicator. My recommendation would be bring in more personality, a little bit more entertaining, and I'm gonna say for Whiskey Whistle as well, is because I know I am prone to just be heavy on content. I've had to work on being more engaging and more communicative. Let relax, relax. Let your hair, if you had any hair, let your hair down. Be a little bit on the entertaining side, right? I think you come across as too damn serious, too serious, and so your channel would grow faster. I think a little more engaging, and more of a humorous fashion. Maybe you have one or two videos that I haven't seen in which you do more of that, but I'm just saying. And this, I'm not just picking on Whiskey Wednesday. Whiskey Whistle, we'll get to in a second. It's sort of, I think, sort of in that same camp. All right, let's move on. Again, you can disagree with me. You can say, I don't give a rat's ass. You can say, I don't care. Man, I just lost. I closed a window again, I think. Did I do it again? No, I didn't. No, I'm fine. All right. Sorry. I'm just getting tired. Whiskey Whistle. Okay, so I just mentioned. Okay, so the last one in the list is Whiskey Whistle. This is our last one for the evening. This has been really, really long. All right, let me bring him up real quick. Whiskey Whistle. If you are still watching and you've tuned in, you stayed tuned this whole time, I want to thank you very much. If you're watching this on the replay and you're still watching, I want to thank you very much. All right, so his name is Mark Coffin. So if you check out the About section on his channel, Mark is one of the few people who actually tells you who in the hell he is in the About section. Congratulations, Mark. Now everybody else needs to follow your example. Mark is one of the few people who actually tells you who in the hell he is. And then people think, most of these channels, they got Jack Diddley. They think nobody watches it. But if you scroll down, you can see how many people have clicked on the view section. I have more views in my About section than I have on any of my videos. People, who in the hell is this Erik Wait guy? All right, and they're checking it out. So he introduces himself. I think his thumbnails are good. His banner, if you look at his banner works well on smartphones. I've said this because 10 times. I would not take people off platform. I get rid of the Twitter and all the rest of that crap on the banner. I think the banner looks good. Mark comes across, I think, very professional, very knowledgeable, very, very articulate. He has stylized his thumbnails with the colorization. If you look at it, you can tell it has a distinctive style to it, so that when you see it, you immediately, and particularly the font type he uses, so you immediately recognize if it's one of his videos. The main thing I would say is a little bit more entertaining. You don't have to act like a jackass. A little more engaging, entertaining, and that sort of, so that you're approachable. I think people, particularly people who are new to whiskey, can be a little bit intimidated. And so if you use entertainment and if you're funny, you make, so I don't have to know everything about whiskey. I'm fine where I'm starting. Look, I'm an educated dude. If someone wants to debate me on anything, I can debate to people. I'm a smart guy. But people can be intimidated if you're just flaunting knowledge and information. You got to be funny. You got to be engaging. You got to come across. It can be interpreted. I'm not saying you are. It can be interpreted as snobbish and standoffish and a little too stiff. People are much more into hanging out, enjoying a dram, and chatting and hanging out than they are to this. I know that it's my nature to go full on nerdy, geeky, just drop information bombs. I have to work on I have to make a concerted effort to counterbalance that to be much more engaging. It doesn't necessarily come natural. So how long have we been at this? 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. So I hope everybody, if you haven't checked out any of these whiskey tubers that I just shared with you, check them out. There are at least 2 other whiskey tubers that I think should be on The contributors, one is Liquor Hound in Texas. Super knowledgeable, great videos. Let me see if I can find the Liquor Hound. Let me see if I can find it. I'll bring him up. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Let me see if I can find the Liquor Hound. Da-da-da. Excuse me for a second. Give me a second. Oops. Give me a second here. I'm going to bring him up. Here we go. Okay. So he's not one of the contributors. I think he should be. Maybe he was asked and he didn't have time. Maybe he was asked and he wasn't into it. I don't know. So let me bring the channel up here. All right. So 27.8 thousand subscribers, large channel. He also does the whole take people off channel thing off to the right-hand side, but he's got the Patreon there. His logo should be in the middle of this banner, and it should have a statement as to what the channel is about. His thumbnails, he doesn't do jack diddly for thumbnails. His thumbnails need improvement. Now, he's got a good large channel, but he's getting passed up. I think eventually I'll pass him up. But this is a guy who's got an insanely large collection, really knowledgeable, really articulate about whiskeys. I think he's got it all going on there. He doesn't use the real estate of his channel. There's no playlist underneath. So it's a little challenging to find out who he is. So he's a certified specialist of spirits. Okay, he's a knowledgeable guy. So if I want to search his channel, what does he think about this whiskey or that whiskey? I should be able to find, okay, what has he done on Irish? What's he done on Texas whiskeys? Because he's in Texas. I think he's in Dallas-Fort Worth area. What's he done on bourbons? What's he doing on Scotch? What's he done on peated? Create playlists that I can search and I can look at it. Make thumbnails that are going to grab more people's attention, just as you want. And I've said this before. I'm repeating myself over and over again. Just as you want a good label on it. So that label there with the dog with the bottle in his mouth, I would put that smack dab center in the middle of your banner. All right. So my personal opinion is, if I was putting together a list of people who are going to be contributing to the OSWA Awards, he would be within the top 5. I would put him on there before I put me on there, right? I really would. Or at least within the top 10. This is a guy I really. Now, maybe he was asking, didn't want to do it. Maybe he doesn't want to have anything to do it. Whatever. First Fill. I'm going to just for that guy, I want to share First Fill Whiskey's channel real quick, just to bring him up. There are some other channels I think should be contributing. Phil, if you say real quick, Phil, if you weren't keen on the idea of doing the OSWAs, I understand that. I would say rethink it. Rethink it. All right, I'm gonna bring him up. Ba-da-ba-doom, share his channel. All right, there we go. So, Phil is a guy who knows what the hell he's doing. So, filling you in about whiskey without the snob stuff. He's got a mission statement. What is his channel about? It's right there. Everybody should be doing something. Come up with your own motto, whatever. Put it in there, right? First Fill Whiskey. It's smack dab in the middle. First Fill. He's doing this plan where, you have a First Fill Sherry cask, First Fill Bourbon cask. He's doing a play on word with his name and in terms of the title of his channel. That is freaking smart. That is really, really, really smart. The cast in the background, of course, the classic image works really, really well. He's got the link to his Patreon channel. If you look at this on a smartphone, it shows up really, really, really well. Playlists. Phil, you're not using your real estate of your channel. Playlist. Start categorizing your Scotch videos or your Irish videos. I know you're still getting going. He's at 11.7 thousand subscribers. Okay, I'm at 12.9. I'll be at 13,000 by end of next week, probably. He is going to I'm going to put money on this. He will pass me up in a month, if not sooner. He's going to pass me up. The quality of his videos, the editing, the articulation, the lighting, everything else. He's just got the full package on. He doesn't need to put out. Now, he doesn't have a high quantity of videos. Let's see how many videos he's got. I mean, I don't know how many videos I got, 500 videos. He doesn't have nowhere near he doesn't have that many videos out there. But look where he's at in terms of the size of the channel. Okay, the thumbnails are smart, all right? It tells you what it's about. It has him on it. It has the wording on there with a readable font that you can tell. He's reaching an audience who are new to whiskeys. A lot of these are super basic videos, and yet I've watched them all just because I enjoy just from the editing style and the visual style of it, content of it. I know I'm putting a lot of butter on his bread, but I just think he's doing a fantastic job. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, there's one we got over to the left, The Rise of Scotch Whisky, A Brief History. It posted yesterday. It's already got 1.7 thousand views. If you haven't seen it already, even if you know the entire history of Scotch whiskey, Ralphie commented on his video. Roy commented on his video. I have never seen Ralphie comment on someone else's channel before. I don't know if he ever has before. I don't even know if he's ever seen my channel before. I've definitely never commented on it. Roy rarely comments on mine. I think he rarely watches mine. Although maybe he watches mine. I don't know. The fact that you got Ralphie's attention, holy simoleons. That says something, bro. So I think you're doing a great job. Other whiskey tubers, pay attention to the way he's doing. Don't be imitative, be creative, but be inspired by the way he's doing things. Now, I feel like I should take 6 months off, go to video and photography school or something, learn the craft better, then come back and make videos. But I'm not going to do that. I'll learn and try to improve as I go along. I wish I had someone else working with me to create the quality of my videos. But we learn as we go. Alrighty, let's get back on this whiskey again. It's weird. You know what? There's also like a vanilla ice cream note. That cookie dough vanilla ice cream character. But it's also a little bit like marshmallow. Alrighty. So, hey, we've been at this for 2 hours and 37 minutes. I'll call this a wrap. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If anybody has any comments, any questions, leave them down below. I hope I haven't offended anybody. I hope everybody improves. I hope everybody's channel, that they improve, that you get what you deserve in terms of the work that you put into your channel. For those few that I haven't met yet, I would like to meet some of these people. Cohen says your video content is fine. Well, thank you very much. People tend to not like the sound of their own voice. People tend to be their own critic, and I am. Looking forward to going forward moving on with the Scotch Whisky Awards. I'm really curious to see how the OSWA turns out, and a year from now or so, see how the next one turns out and how this grows and changes. I'm excited about it. I like it, but I would say this is sort of final parting words. We're doing whiskey reviews. It's a beverage. We're not curing cancer. We're not solving the world's problems. Maybe they're helping us be entertained and not be so much focused on all the world's problems and our own problem, particularly this COVID crap. I think whiskey and wine and art and music are all awesome. I can get and just really caught up listening to an opera aria. I can get just to where the rest of the world fades away. I can get really caught up in just an awesome glass of wine that's just haunting and enchanting. And I can get really caught up in a whiskey that just really grabs your attention. It's so layers and complexity to that, so that the rest of the world kind of fades away for that moment in time. And how these things can bring people together. That's whiskey, music, art can bring us together. I like that as well. All right. So again, I want to thank everyone for watching. Hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. And next week, we'll be back at this. So I didn't post a video during this week. It'll post on Sunday. That'll be my review of the Red Spot. Just because I'm busy working, but that'll post on Sunday, and then the next one will be on the Blue Spot. All right, again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you haven't given this video a thumbs up, please do. And until next time, cheers.